Zoobox, is that you?
What the fuck kind of name is that?
Yo, Zoobox, what it do, baby? It's your boy, Ari Spears here. Going to win, Zoobox, and persevere.
The Zoobox is working.
I don't know what Zoobox means. I don't get it. Is this just some, I mean, obviously it's a code name of some kind.
Zoobox is working, man.
He says you a trash rapper.
Hey, man, I want to dress up like a bunny rabbit in the park.
That's all I gotta tell you, Zoobox. Come on, man. Chin up, find a place to smile, right?
What's up, party people? What's up, everybody in the good old US of A? If anybody's watching this from a foreign country, you have to stop right now. I demand it. But anyways, welcome to Goes to the Movies Live. I'm your host, Shaun, and as with me, as always, is my adopted son, Jeremy, who also goes by Jeremobie. What's up, Jeremy?
I'm doing well, Shaun. Thank you for having me back again and doing something a little bit different, mixing it up.
We're going to be mixing it up a little. We're going to try this out. We're going to try more of a broad topic tonight. We're going to have a broad topic. We're going to be talking about found footage films. So in the chat, if you guys have your favorite found footage movies, drop them in there. We'll bring them up once we get to that part of the show and the discussion there. We were supposed to make a list. Now, I will come clean here. We were supposed to make a list of top 5 movies. Jeremy, he sent me a message last week. You know, you think you have 2 weeks to do something, you think you have all the time in the world, and then you don't. And he sent me a message, and he's just like, "Yo, this is really hard. Like, I'm gonna have like 50 honorable mentions." And I, like some school marm, was like, "No, Jeremy, you have to do it because this is part of the fun. Part of the fun is actually killing your darlings." And then I started trying to make my list, and everything changed. Suddenly, I was kind of okay with not having a hard list, but we have our top 5s kind of, and we have a big list of I think pretty much I kind of made a list of every found footage movie that I could recall from memory, and then I went and looked because I was like, well, if I remember it, then those are the ones that probably are the most impactful, probably mean the most to me. Lots of adjacent movies. You know, there's lots of throughout the history of cinema. There have been things that are kind of found footage adjacent. We'll probably talk about a few of those, and also save some time for some bad ones. There is tons of bad ones. We're going to get into those as well. We got Brissinger and Trembling in the chat. What's up, buddy? Trembling says, Jeremy, do you know about diaper fetishes? I don't think he does. We learned last night on Nightcap. We did about 2 hours on diaper fetishes. And let me tell you, I wish that I hadn't. It's not good.
Yeah, see, I only caught the last 20 or so minutes of Nightcap when you went back to the anti-natalist and whatnot, and I assume they don't know much about diaper fetishes either. But I do not. To answer Trembling's question there,
yeah, there's a fetish out there for everything, Jeremy. It's just best. You know, I was like, I can't do that to my son. I mean, I know he's adopted, but Jesus Christ, you don't just do that to your kids. Expose them to the evils of the world. It's your responsibility as a parent, okay, to protect your children from things like diaper fetishes. You know, that's why I homeschool my kids. Got to keep them away from the diaper fetishes. But I wish I was joking too. I wish I was joking because you know that like they're like, what do you mean? It's just my private life, just my kinks. I'm like, man, if you're into diapers, it says so much about your psychology that you know. Prophet over on YouTube, he says, the key is to cut a hole in your diaper so you can fuck and get fucked while you're wetting and messing. Duh. That's true. We learned that. We learned that last night. So if people want to go check that out, go check out last night's Nightcap. The first 2 hours are all diaper stuff. What a wonderful gift I've given to you all.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, so it was one of those times I was watching this. I'm like, why do I do this? I don't even want to do this. I don't even want to be watching this right now. But, you know, you got to do the bit. Committed to the bit. So anyways. So what you been up to, man? So it's been 2 weeks since we've last convened. I you know, Jeremy cruelly forced me to watch Neil Breen movies by myself. Like a sick fuck. But although I'll let you tell him, why couldn't you watch movies with me last Thursday, Jeremy?
Last Thursday, just been caught up with a lot of different production meetings.
For what,
calls
Jeremy?
with oh gosh. Well, now that it's out there, there's a movie coming out, maybe somewhere on our radar in the next year or so, called Sharp End of a Buck Knife. That I may be slated to, or will, or possibly am the director of. Coming very, very soon. It's going to be in theme with our list, a found footage film shot in the backwoods of Virginia. And, no turning back now.
Very exciting, very exciting. Very happy for Jeremy. It's going to be nice to get. It's kind of nice that this opportunity has opened itself up to you. I feel like you're a hungry young dude. You know, you're ready for this.
Well, I've told people I'm like a burst of nervousness and excitement all in once. I've never done anything feature length before, or at least anything on this scale before. So it's gonna be a learning experience at the very least. So yeah,
and
I'll treat it as such.
We're gonna have to watch it on Goes to the Movies. So I hope you're ready.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Trembling says, I watched The Magician and the TV show Mr. In Between last week. Both are good. The show isn't found footage at all, though. I don't think I've seen either of those. Actually, what have I been watching? Jeremy, what have you watched anything in the interim? Like anything to remark upon?
Yeah, if I can pull up anything from recent.
What's your recent activity looking like, Jeremy?
Did you catch these Sam Raimi reinstallments in theaters?
I saw that you did, and I was jealous. No, I didn't. I missed
Spider-Man 2.
I blanked on Spider-Man 2, but I don't think that they're playing near me. I don't think the Regal near me showed them. It's only playing in like 430 theaters or something.
It was, I'm sorry you missed out on that. It was a very magical experience to revisit that again, and in a weird way, it's that they didn't do anything weird to these versions. It was just like the traditional films, I guess, that they are just re-releasing. But
yeah, they're just putting them back in the theater,
yeah. And there were moments where I was definitely like reflecting back onto my old nostalgic path of just seeing these movies with my dad when I was back in like the 2000s when they came out, and how special and important those were to me, and then to see that that love for those films still like carry over this many years later, you know.
Oh yeah, and dude, the people were posting tons and tons of videos I saw like on Twitter of people like cheering and like losing their minds while watching Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, that's how it was, you know.
Yeah,
remember what they took from you. Remember what they took from us.
Exactly.
You know? Trelling asks, is that the movie that Death Curse Comics did the stuff for? The masks and stuff? Yes, it is.
Yes, yeah. Yep.
I'm not only Jeremy's father, I'm also his agent. Officially now. It's a contract now. It's a contract now. I just said it out in public. I'm just joking.
I didn't ask for this, Dad.
Well, son, listen. Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of perverts out there. I don't know if you heard about what happened to Drake Bell. Okay, that kid got fucked. Do you want to get fucked, Jeremy? Don't listen to your mother. Brissinger says, tell you what, I'd pay to see a Durian Ryder film. Dude, I'd pay to see a documentary about Durian Ryder. Why not? That would be fun. Prov says, I think my favorite found footage movie is Bud Dwyer. Oh, wait, that's not what you're talking about. No, that wasn't found. That was broadcast live to the world when it happened.
That was there and then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I watched a few found footage movies, so I'll save that for when. I also saw, but the most recent one I saw Abigail, which is directed by two dudes. No idea if they're gay together. Who directed it? I'm trying to find the names of the directors. If I can bring it up here real quick. Have you heard anything about Abigail? I'm sure you saw the trailer, right?
Yes, I saw the trailer. I probably like posted a joke or a meme about it at some point, but yeah, this completely slipped past my.
Yeah, these guys did Truth or Dare, and they did the last two Scream movies, and I think there's something else in the mix, but that's kind of their trajectory of the last three films they did. Abigail Abigail stars Melissa Barrera. She was in like this last Scream movie, and then fired from Scream 7.
Yeah. I remember.
Dan Stevens is in the movie. Alicia Weir. It had some people I had no idea because I didn't really know anything about it before I watched it. Kevin Durand is in it.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, he was in it. Matthew Good is in it.
Okay.
I was actually kind of surprised by the cast. And I'll say this. Not like a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. Not like the best thing I've ever seen in a while. But very entertaining for what it was. And Dan Stevens is a lot of fun in the movie.
Okay.
Because he plays kind of like a... I mean, they're all unscrupulous, I suppose, because they're like trying to kidnap this girl and ransom her. But I don't want to say too much about it, even though the trailer I think the trailer gives it away, but I can't remember if I watched the trailer, so I won't say anything further. But yeah, I watched that. And probably should bring Jeremy back. And then I got in the mail something I'm very excited about. I actually have a pretty big cinema weekend ahead of me, okay? This came out in 4K, Tarkovsky's Nostalgia. One of the only Tarkovskys I haven't seen, so I'm actually pretty excited to watch it. I think I haven't seen this or Ivan's Childhood, but I have a real personal connection with Tarkovsky. I found his movies like right after my father passed away, which if you're going to find depressing, meditative, ponderous Russian films, that's a good time to do it, is when you're grieving.
Yeah.
And I found Solaris, which is what that movie is all about. So kind of occupies a special place in my heart. And this Sunday, I'm going to be taking Foster to go see Alien on the big screen, 45th anniversary. We're both very excited. Secured the bag today. Excellent seats. We're ready to rock and roll. I hope he enjoys it. Because I know he likes the movie a lot, but kids can be kind of finicky. He might just be like, sometimes during like movies that I take him to see that he wants to see, he's like, Dad, can we leave? So I hope that doesn't happen with Alien. I'd be really bummed. He'd have to stay.
How many times have you guys watched it together? Because that's one of those films I didn't get into until I was in my teens, So
well, the lore here is that we were having like a lazy Sunday. Everybody was kind of half asleep on the couch. I had just bought in the 4K. I pop it in. Didn't know Foster was awake. He was awake the whole time. He ended up watching the whole thing, and then not only did he watch it, like he became obsessed with like xenomorphs. And like he has when he was a kid, like he has a bunch of like xenomorph toys and stuff like that. He was kind of the pre-Godzilla thing. I think it was before Godzilla was a thing. He was into xenomorphs. So it's going to be fun. Are you going to check it out? Are you going to go back to the theaters?
Yeah, if it's in my proximity, I'll definitely give it another go around. I've always loved Alien, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's like playing. I think it's playing pretty much all weekend. They're not doing like the one day thing, so I was appreciative of that. Because actually, what also got announced recently was that they're re-releasing all of the Lord of the Rings extended 4Ks in theaters.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
My brother immediately like sent me a text. He's like, "Yo, we gotta go." So I think we're gonna go at the end of it's at the end of May into early June, I think, or something like that. Or no, early June. Sorry, June 8th through June 10th. It's like 8th, 9th, and 10th. They're going to play. I was hoping they would do one where they had like just one day you could go watch all of them in one day. I would like to do that. I haven't done that since I was probably like 19.
Well, see, I love Lord of the Rings to death as well. My family, we were all big Tolkien and Peter Jackson heads, but these days, I'm kind of just craving some old school Peter Jackson re-releases. I want to see like some of his horror movies again, and just like
Meet the Feebles is on the way. I think it has a date. I think the first one that got dated was Meet the Feebles, and then the other one he did, which was what was it called? Is it the first one he did?
Yes. Why am I flubbing on it?
I figured you would know. That's why I asked you.
Yeah. What
was his first movie?
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste. Thank you.
Yep.
I was thinking because there's like it has like a bunch of different names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was the other thing too. Is like those films that were circulating from New Zealand, they would have like 5 different titles that would match the American agenda or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to those. I mean, I don't know if like, you know, Meet the Feebles is Meet the Feebles. I don't know if I really need a 4K of Meet the Feebles, but like, I mean, I have a problem, so I probably will end up with.
Oh, we both will. We both will.
With a copy of Meet the Feebles.
Yeah.
It's a real possibility. Which would be another copy. It would be my second copy. Meet the Feebles. When I was first getting into Peter Jackson, so it was post Lord of the Rings. I was, you know, going back and watching his filmography. I had been a big fan of the Frighteners growing up and had no idea that it was him. Like, I just didn't know until the Lord of the Rings movies started coming out. And then I had to go buy it at Newberry Comics in Leominster, Massachusetts, and it cost me like $40 for a DVD-R that literally disintegrated.
Yeah.
Like I might still have the disc. It literally just started falling apart. Within, I guess it was 10 years, you know? Isn't that what Ridley Scott was telling people? Or is it Oliver Stone? Oliver Stone was like telling people like, yeah, DVDs only last like a decade and then they start to degrade. And then William Friedkin heard that and he's like, well, what the fuck does he know? Who cares about what he has to say? I was like, man, Bill Friedkin did not fuck around. Treming says, if I knew how to edit, I'd make a supercut of all the good segments from the several VHS found footage movies. Yeah, it would be about 90 minutes long. And there's only like 10 movies. Trami says 4K of a fucking disgusting puppets. Who can say no? That's true.
Yeah.
Who can say no? Who can say no? But yeah, do you watch anything else?
The only other things I've been tuning into lately, I watched a film called Snack Shack very recently from Adam Ramir, the director who did, I gotta just make sure I'm getting this right. He's one of these like up and coming, like just like Nebraska film directors who did like a lot of raunchy comedies like throughout the years. And I really, no, this was a solid film. I don't know if it's playing right now, but it kind of just came and went. But it's a 90s coming of age sort of summer
vibe.
film. And that's literally what it is. It doesn't do anything tricky, you know, with the plot or to the eyes or anything. It's just a very down to earth, funny comedy. But dramatic in points where I was not expecting it to actually hit and nail like really well too. So
is it kind of like Linklater's Everybody Wants Some?
A little bit.
I mean, it's probably not as kind of Linklater-ish as that movie. But
Yeah.
Okay, I might check this out. I think I heard maybe it was you that I saw. Did you tweet something about it or something?
I mentioned something on Letterboxd, but I didn't tweet about it. I don't think. Laura,
I might have seen
in
it
our
on
circle is
Letterboxd.
the other probably person that has probably seen it, but that's about it.
Okay, cool. Cool. Adam Ramir, Dinner in America, The Bunny Game as a cinematographer,
Yep.
Snack Shack as a director, Jonas as a cinematographer. So it looks like he's he's directed 7 movies.
Oh yeah, he's a constant working guy. Not on that level or any sort of he's definitely not getting the same kind of treatment, I guess, like a Linklater type would until he gets to that point, maybe with whatever his next movie is going to be. But no, it's refreshing to watch a movie that is not beating you over the head over whatever.
It's not some twee precious like coming of age story like we do nowadays with like Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
It's not one of those.
No.
Good. Actually, speaking of Nick Offerman, I watched Civil War. Did we talk about Civil War? I don't think we have.
We have not, but I did also see Civil War on its opening weekend.
So what did you think of Civil War? What did you think of Alex Garland's Civil War?
Mostly bored by it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Really don't have a whole lot to take away from it other than just you tried. You went for something, but you didn't really.
Well, he went for something that nobody's interested in, and that's kind of, I think, at least in the public sphere, I suppose. Critics loved it, but yeah, I was not too taken with it, and I think all the people out there saying this is some like impartial political Rorschach test are out of their fucking minds. I thought this was so obviously coded in one political direction. I mean, listen, if you're going to make Nick Offerman Trump, I know who the bad guy is. I know who you think the bad guy is, and it's adorable that Alex Garland is in such a fucking bubble that he has no idea that most people would see something like that and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, everybody hates fascism and authoritarianism. Oh, yeah, because that never happens on the other side. I watched a bunch of interviews with him after I watched the movie because I was so like put off by it. And not necessarily because it was political. It's just like the cowardice of it. Like he just didn't have the balls to like say what he wanted to say about this. Maybe that I could be completely wrong. Maybe that's just a misread on my part. I will give it another chance. But so I started watching some of the interviews he did because I had watched a few when the movie premiered. I think we did a premiere at South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. And he was doing like after the film Q&As and people were like very upset at him because it wasn't like an anti-right wing screed. Like people were upset about that. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gave me some hope. I was like, oh, cool. Maybe it'll be like more neutral. But no, I think it ended up just being kind of your typical Alex Garland movie that's very satisfied with itself and thinks it's saying something very profound and deep when it's really not. Yep. And you can get that sense about it too. Like it kind of feels pretentious and the people don't talk like human beings. They kind of talk like, archetypes.
Yeah. Even if you're trying to like represent the realism of what like war journalism looks like, I don't get the sense that this was like a very good interpretation of that as well. And like you said earlier, like it resulted in having nothing to say. Even if I didn't agree with a message or something, like I wish it would at least have gone for something, and it doesn't. Yeah, I
totally agree.
Yeah,
like the fact that it has like a political perspective is not my issue with the movie.
Yeah,
it's that it's kind of does this half measure thing while acting like it's not doing that, and I found that just kind of weird. There was kind of a dissonance there for me. But I really liked the look of the movie though. I love the way it was shot. And I really thought some of the kind of the kinetic battle scenes worked pretty well. I thought that stuff was actually pretty effective. Even if I was constantly constantly distracted by like the Boogaloo Boys and the purple-haired people. Like, he's trying to identify factions that we can also identify ourselves. And I kind of just don't believe that he's being neutral. I don't believe it.
No.
And I think that it's, I was just kind of taken aback by it. I was taken aback like what a like weird progressive wet dream it turns into in the last 20 minutes of the movie. I was like, holy shit. Like it's really just going for it. But then it didn't. And then it didn't. But anyways, I mean, I'll give it another chance. I will. But, just Garland he's a person I like just fine. Like I'm not a Garland hater. I've seen a lot of haters out there. Are you? What do you think of Garland in general?
No hatred at all. Like sent his way, of course. But just I'm trying to understand. Yeah, what his end game is with all of this right now, because like I think once getting booted off, him and Danny Boyle for the 28 Years Later film that was supposed to happen, I think that definitely probably did a small number on what they were anticipating or looking forward to doing, because
he's not on that?
Not anymore from what I hear. I think they're attaching new folks.
Well, is this by his choice though? Because he was talking about being like needing a break essentially.
Well, yeah, he's also kind of in that limbo now where it's just like I'm kind of done with directing, and I've always looked at him more as a writer than a director anyway, at least from past projects that I have liked or enjoyed from.
Yeah, I mean, because we both like the 28 Days Later movie.
Yeah.
He wrote The Beach. He wrote Sunshine, another Danny Boyle movie. Mm-hmm. And then he started directing. Ex Machina was his first movie, and then Annihilation, and then Devs, and then Men, and now Civil War. My favorite is Devs, like it's kind of like the limited series he did for Hulu. That has Nick Offerman in it, and that Asian girl that's in all of the movies that he's in. Or no, is she in that? Was she the star of that show? Was that the same woman? could be
I think
wrong.
so. Yeah, she usually shows up in everything he does.
She showed up in Civil War for like a couple minutes. She as the token Asian lady. It was very cool. Now let me ask you, Jeremy, did you get around to watching Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver? Did you do a double feature?
No, you know I haven't gone around to that yet. As much as I would like to at some point in time.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, you got to watch it at least once. Like, you got to watch it at least once.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's not good, but it's also it's interesting in its failure. And because it's like you know what he's going for, you can see it all, and you're watching him not achieve it. And I don't know, maybe there's just something inside of me, a little masochism in me that likes to just be kind of tortured a little bit. I like to get upset while I'm watching something so I can yell at the TV. But yeah, it was like, it's not good. It has some interesting moments, some interesting things in it, but just kind of like with part 1, it just never comes together. And it's also just like the entire reason why Rebel Moon is the way it is completely fucked. Like splitting it into 2 movies and then splitting it into another 2 director's cuts and very like all. So you just feel like you're watching something compromised right off the bat.
Yeah.
And also, splitting it into 2 parts completely fucks the structure. Because it's a movie where you're supposed to be like introduced to all these characters. It's a gang of people that is like there to protect the village, a la Seven Samurai. And the first part, like they go and they get the team together. But in the first part, because they knew that they have a second part, they didn't tell you anything about the team. And what they do in the first hour of the part 1 is just a series of flashbacks as they're sitting at a table talking to each other. I was like, that's fucking crazy, dude. That's crazy. I don't know. I wasn't into it. Tarami says Rebel Moon is indeed a fascinating bungling of Seven Samurai. Yes, it is. It is. He's got lots of cool ideas, lots of cool things, and it just never felt like it came together. You know, maybe it'll come together when it's 6 hours long.
This is sounding a little bit like a Doom Part 2 situation where, people weren't sure, I guess, where the pacing or what was going to be aligned for.
Well, I thought Dune 2, and it was way
better.
Way better. Like night and day, dude. Well, with Dune 2, like it does feel awkward. Like when part 1 ends, that ends in a very weird place.
Yeah.
It doesn't even end in like the logical place where you think a part 1 of a story like that would end. It has like an extra 15 minutes, and you're like, why are we doing this in this part? But man, they really. I thought, dude. I mean, I hate to sound like such a coomer. For like, it's almost like weird to me to like a modern movie this much, but I fucking adored it. I loved it.
I enjoyed it
Just because it was so big. It was the best theatrical experience I've had in kind of a while. It was big as other than Godzilla -1, which we've already talked about this.
Yeah.
Then of course I watched Pass Through with Neil and Double Down. Neil Breen doubleheader. What an experience, Jeremy. I'm sorry you couldn't have made it because, my God, so much to talk about with those movies, so much to comment on.
Hey, I was there for part of it. I was just commenting from a distance, you know.
That's right. Yeah, I saw you were on the Odyssey chat. Thank you for keeping the Odyssey chat warm.
Yeah.
The barren wasteland of Odyssey. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me. That's all I've watched. Oh, no, that's not true. I watched like 2 movies I'll mention briefly. Last Rites with Tom Berenger. A very weird movie about a priest who gets embroiled in some sort of kind of erotic affair. It's almost like kind of like some way halfway to an erotic thriller.
I think I've heard of this.
It was okay. It was like it was entertaining for what it was. I'll bring it up here in old IMDb. It was a weird Tom Berenger performance. I had not seen Tom Berenger do something like this, where he basically plays his character comes off like a 15-year-old boy, and like that's how he plays the character. He's this very naive, very innocent character. You know, obviously, sexually inexperienced. But it has enough. It's not a great movie, but it's got a lot of twists and turns. I really did not see it going where it ended up going. Mm-hmm. So I was appreciative it for that. Like, it's very watchable, very entertaining, some decent kind of middling late 80s, early 90s thriller stuff,
Yeah.
that I kind of enjoy. And then I watched this movie, Nicholas Roeg's Cold Heaven. Let me look this up real quick, which was not good. This was not good. And I bought this too, so now I own it. An adulterous woman's faith in God is tested when her husband dies and miraculously comes back to life. The movie's an allegory for a woman that's like cheating on her husband and the guilt she feels. And through the experience of cheating on her husband and having her husband like unceremoniously die like the day she was about to break up with him. So she goes through this kind of spiritual quest, and then like her husband returns as a zombie, but it's never very clear if he's there or if he's not. And yeah, it has potential. Like it has, like I liked the story, like the plot. It just does not come together. But it has Teresa Russell in it.
Okay.
And she's very attractive. She played Denise Richards' mom in the film Wild Things,
I see.
which I also watched recently. And I watched Jumanji. I guess I watched a lot. I was really getting up to it. Jumanji was great, by the way. Yes. Held up. I had a lot of fun watching Jumanji with the kids. Like it's the first time that we ever watched it together. It was fun. Tarami says Berenger is still alive. He hasn't looked like he was about to die in a mixed drug overdose for 2 decades. Is Tom Berenger still alive? I think he is.
I think he's still around. He's still kicking. I was gonna say that last rogue picture. It sounds like it's one of those. What do they call them these days? The the pure flicks.
Is that where he's living now?
Oh, Tom Berenger? Oh, probably. I don't know about him.
Oh, okay. Well, there he is. Look at him.
Yeah.
You wish you had that kind of drip, let me tell you, or Riz, whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah.
I'm still on drip.
Hey, he's making it work.
I really like Tom Berenger as an actor. Like I'd pretty much probably watch like anything he was in.
The Substitute is a great example.
Oh, The Substitute's so much fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Sniper.
Yeah, right.
Or like the bad sequels to Sniper. He shows up in a few of those. Him and Billy Zane.
Yeah.
They keep going back to that well, the Sniper well.
And when the world needs them most, they'll combine their efforts together once more and cross over.
Listen, it's a power duo. You want to put butts in seats. I think we should start putting Sniper movies back in the theater.
Yes.
Want to save cinema? Let's get real, folks. Well, did you watch anything else?
That's about all I got on my end.
Oh my God! I guess that takes us to the news, Jeremy. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight.
The news.
All right, so this is a big story. The biggest story that's kind of come out lately. Kind of big info dump we got here. So apparently, Dennis Quaid made some comments about his character from the movie The Parent Trap. Somebody asked him in some sort of official capacity what he thought. This was so weird to me. Who thought to ask him this question? What sick fuck?
Dude,
Alex Vina?
It's these weird like letterbox trolls. They hone in on like these like little interview questions that nobody would ask or care about. I was even shocked when you shared like this story in the chat. I was thinking like,
oh, I should have.
Why?
It was a joke. It was a joke, so I could do exactly what I just did, Jeremy.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was weird. I thought it was worth like talking about because you're right. It is like this weird nostalgia Coomer brain people that can't grow up. There's way too attached to the ephemera from their childhood, you know? I mean, I saw The Parent Trap when I was a kid. I actually saw it in the drive-in. You believe that? It was one of those like drive-in double features where it's like a kid's movie and an adult movie after it. So my parents took us to see The Parent Trap, and then I can't remember what we saw after that. Not as memorable as The Parent Trap, I can tell you that much. So this is what he had to say. It says the star of The Parent Trap may have been released nearly 26 years ago, but according to Dennis Quaid, not much has changed for his character Nick Parker since. While speaking to E! News, the star of the 1998 film speculated about where the Parker family patriarch would be now. I guess he'd be sipping some of the wine out of his vineyard, he shared, not traveling too far from home. And he would still be married to the woman from the movie. And that's it. That's the whole article. That's some clickbait right there. Congratulations, Decider. You won.
What is Dennis Quaid doing right now? I don't even
He's still.
see him.
I think he's still active. Well, let's look. We'll look it up. We got the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, because for me, it's just like the occasional film that he's popped up in. I grew up on Dragonheart. He's great in that, or fine in that. But he's never been like this, like hardcore. Oh yeah, Dennis. I can't wait to see the new Dennis Quaid joint. You know,
You're from a different. It's because you're not of that generation. You
No.
know, if you had grown up, say when like Inner Space came out,
sure.
maybe you'd be a big Dennis Quaid stan. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like Dennis Quaid is the kind of actor that my uncle loved. Like, and my uncle was like a carpenter,
Yeah.
like man of the earth, salt of the earth kind of guy. You know,
Yeah.
they like guys like Dennis Quaid because he represents them in movies.
He is
a lot
an
of
everyman
times.
quality.
He's kind of
Yeah,
this
yeah.
everyman working
Yeah.
class quality to him, even though that's not who he is at all. But that's what he puts out. That's how he reads. And I think, that generation kind of likes that. They appreciate that. Trauma says The Substitute with my favorite Eric Roberts. Trembling says Fear City is a great trashy Tom Berenger movie. You know, I've never seen that. Have you ever seen Fear City?
No, it's been on my list though. I think
You know it's on Tubi, dude. You know Tubi's got your back.
when we get into our list later on, I'm like, man, Tubi really had our backs when I had to revisit some stuff. I'll tell you that.
Actually, I watched like 3 of them on Tubi.
Yeah.
3 of the ones that I wanted, or 2 I wanted to revisit, and 1 new one. Prophet asked, "Did you see it at the Northfield Drive-In?" I did. That's the drive-in I went to. Big Paul says, "Why are you on a beard strike, Beta?" Things gotta change, dude. You gotta change sometimes. I think it helps me. It's gonna help me motivate me to continue working out and stuff because I actually see my fat Irish face. So that helps with that. Travis says, "I did watch The Ring for the first time this weekend. Good God, it's just pure camp." With the Gore Verbinski one, I suppose that would kind of read as camp in the modern era. It's been a long time since I've watched the Verbinski Ring. I watched Ring You not that long ago, and I was actually I really enjoyed it. Which I didn't think I didn't have good memories of it, but I really enjoyed it a lot.
No, we've talked about them both. I like both in different ways. Yeah. In fact, in terms of as far as American remakes go, I really like what Gore Verbinski did with that first movie.
So do I.
The second one with the CGI deer, not so much. So,
well, because it was the guy who directed the original Japanese movie came over to America to direct our sequel to the remake of his movie.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like it's a sequel that's completely different than the original.
Yes.
And I kind of appreciate that on some level, like that they didn't rest on their laurels and they're like, no, I have like a different idea of what I want to do with like these movies, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of like James Wan does that too, usually. Like he did that with Insidious Part 2. Insidious Part 2 is so like tonally different than the first one. It's like feels like it could be a different franchise.
Sure.
Prophet says, "You're going to talk about Tom Berenger for an hour and not mention his marquee performance in the Major League films? And you guys claim you like movies? Well, that's the obvious one, buddy. Get out of here, fake fan. We're talking about Fear City, Last Rites. You're talking about fucking Major League. Get out of here, pal."
No, I got to start this off with a red alert, red alert, red alert.
Red alert, fake fan. Fake Tom Berenger. Quick, name me your top five Tom Berenger movies, Prophet. I'm all fucking tongue-tied. I couldn't even get that phrase out. All right.
I was going to say, don't ask me that question because I got to pull some stuff up. Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let me check. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
No, this is the actual biggest story. This one right here. Godzilla -1 streaming release date announced. When will it debut in the U.S.? I think it does not look like this is going to come to the U.S. until the fall. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know how these negotiations go down when it comes to just releasing properties like this. Do you remember or can you recall how long it took Shin Gojira to released to States.
Coming over here, well, it started in a very similar way where it played in the States for like a week.
Yeah.
And like it did okay. Critics liked it, but it didn't come out on Blu-ray until I believe 4 or 5 months after it came out in Japan, which would put this in about September, October range. Because it's coming out May 3rd on Amazon Prime in Japan, which, so it'll be out there. It'll be this outlet says that you should use your VPN.
I hate to say it, like as much as we would love this to be more readily available as soon as possible, this does feel like it's kind of going back to a time when movies took a longer period to actually release after their theater,
I thought this one would be different just because of how big it was over here.
Right, yeah.
Because they would want to capitalize on the momentum. Like it's not every Godzilla movie from Japan that like actually does well in America, But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I was kind of bummed because for me the bummer is because of my kid.
Yeah.
We'll just get a Japanese copy and I'll just read the subtitles, but unfortunately we have to have like the subtitle version for him. He could read, but just not at reading subtitles level yet.
Sure.
Hagbert says, no Dreamscape? I saw that shit in 3D in the theater. I don't think I've ever seen Dreamscape. I'll be real. And Prophet, he comes and he says, top 5. Major League. Major League 2. Major League 3, Lost in New York. The Parent Trap. Shit. Fuck it. He was so close. So close. Major League 3, Lost in New York is my favorite one. That's when they go to play the Astros or whoever's in New York. The Yankees.
Yes, yeah.
How many baseball teams are in New York? Is it just the Yankees? Isn't there another one? It's the Mets?
I think the Mets. Yeah, I
don't watch baseball, so
I should know. I was on the I played alongside the Mets team in Little League when I was like 8, 9 years old, but I should know. I don't.
Tremling says, I imagine you or one of your brothers had Charlie Sheen hair from Major League, Sean. Yeah, big Major League fans. Actually, we did like Major League. We did like Major League in my house. We used to watch it on TBS whenever it was on. Big Paul says, Mets, bunch of betas. That's why I shaved the beard. I couldn't live with the lie anymore.
Great movie drop there, though. Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid. Guess where it's available? Tubi. Tubi's got us covered. Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. He's got your back. Yeah. He's very kind, very generous. And I'm telling you,
they don't have to do it. Yeah.
I got roped into doing the stupid commercial break HBO. Because I went to cancel it and they're like, hey, you can have the commercial version for like $4 a month for 3 months. Do you want to do that? I was like, okay, sure. I'll write it out for 3 months. Let's see what the commercial version is like. Dude, the commercials are crazy. And the reason why this comes to mind is because of Tubi. Tubi's commercials are not aggressive. And there's maybe, 3 or 4 in a movie? If that. Sometimes not even that much.
Yeah.
And every goddamn HBO thing, dude, it's like every 10 minutes. There's a 3-minute commercial.
Oh, it's night and day when you're not being like berated by some Ryan Gosling ad on YouTube or something like that. It's way more refreshing.
Yeah, well, Tubi feeds you local ads.
Yeah.
They'll feed you your local ads.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Prophet says Major League 3 is when the kid breaks his arm and then throws really fast. That's true. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's Major League 3 Rookie of the Year. It's a good one. That's the alternate title. That's how it was released in France. No, this is actually the big news of the day right here. More big news. Looks like we're getting maybe we might get a Blood Meridian. John Logan tapped to write the film adaptation of Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, which excites me. If everybody doesn't know, Big Paul and I just recently did a Goes to the Library all about Blood Meridian, and I saw that. Didn't you read it last year?
I read it last year as well too. So I am like, definitely on the Blood Meridian poll for how things look this year.
Yeah, because so John Hillcoat, the Australian director, is still attached to it. He directed The Road, that adaptation, and He's been attached to it for a while, though, and this is the most recent news. So this just dropped the other day, because when we recorded that podcast, the most recent news was like a year ago. So things are moving with it. I'm not going to hold my breath. It's been close a few times already. I think the closest it got was maybe Ridley Scott. Or was it James Franco?
James Franco, he was attached.
He got pretty close.
He got close because he was attached to a different property from McCarthy.
He did Son of God,
Son of God,
or Man of God. Son of God, I can't
yeah,
remember.
one of those.
Oh, he shot like a proof of concept thing for Blood Meridian. I don't think I've ever watched it, but he shot something. He shot like a half-hour short or something.
Sure.
I've never seen it. I don't know if it's widely available. It might be. It might be out there.
Here's my thing. I don't have a I think John Hillcoat is a pretty well established and decent director. I have gone on to say I think it was like about almost a year now, or so, where I would love to see like an S. Craig Zoller type take on this kind of property more than one of these more safer directors, I guess.
Well, Hillcoat's got like a pretty. He's got a gritty filmography. I mean, The Proposition, The Road.
The Proposition is great. The road. So that's my thing. Is like The Road is good, but it doesn't go far enough. It doesn't really stick to like the nitty gritty of the actual book. It's a little too scared to, and maybe the studio didn't want him to. Maybe he actually had like some thoughts on what he wanted to take that story further, and maybe they.
Oh, you
just
mean the
didn't
things
allow
that
him.
they added to the movie? Is that what you're talking about?
Or removed from the movie, like
it's an adaptation. Like, what do you?
yeah,
like?
yeah. No,
Because they added the Charlize Theron thing is not in the book.
Yeah. I'm speaking more on just like on like a tonal level, and like it could have been darker, I guess.
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
maybe I wanted a more nihilistic story, I guess.
Well, it is pretty dark, Jeremy. Like, it's a pretty dark ass movie. I mean, in the book itself, though, that's with Cormac McCarthy, and it's something that's true with Blood Meridian. I've only read 2 of his novels. I've read The Road. I've read now Blood Meridian.
Yeah.
Big Paul and I have plans to kind of continue with his work, but there's always kind of a little pinhole light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
Like, he always does that. And The Road is no different. The Road, actually, honestly, you could almost suggest that even in the novel The Road, like, he got a little soft. And he lets the kid live.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, fuck, dude. When I read Blood Meridian, I was like, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, the
same.
end of it, like, the last, like, 30 pages, I was like, oh, God, fuck me. Big Paul says, soon it will be judgment time. The judge finna do unholy and non-consensual things, sucker. Trembling says, Tubi has been trying to make you disable your ad blockers to watch the site lately. The bastards. So I support Tubi, so I watch ads on Tubi. One of the only places I watch ads, actually. I let them have it. I give it to them because I appreciate the service. I appreciate it as a service. Like, I can't tell you how many times I cannot find a movie anywhere, and it's on Tubi. All the time.
Can I ask you real quick, Sean, before we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, of course.
In terms of just like the realm of actors, or like actors you want to see on screen right now, who is your ideal judge from Blood Meridian that you would love to see on screen?
Dude,
because
this is
it is so tough. Yeah, and if you can't answer it, don't worry. But like,
I would say like 20 years ago, like maybe like Liam Neeson. Because you need somebody that's huge, like big. Like, and Liam Neeson's like a big physical guy. But honestly, though, that's like really grasping at straws. Because Big Paul, when we were talking about it, we were also trying to like, what would you want to see like as a movie? Like the actors, like how would you cast it? Honestly, I was kind of at a loss. I thought maybe, who would be good? Walton Goggins would be good as Glanton.
Okay.
Head of the Glanton gang. I think he would be actually pretty good. And he's kind of, he's got that Western vibe to him.
Sure.
He's done a few Western stuff, even Fallout, which I've seen. I watched 2 episodes of that Fallout show, which it was okay from what I've seen so far. He's really good in that. He's kind of playing like a cowboy ghoul. So I could see him doing something like that. I don't know. Who do you think? Do you have any ideas of like somebody you would like to see?
I've talked about this with my brother for a while too, because we both bonded over the book. super well last year. In a weird way, and it would be so against type. I don't even know if he could pull it off, really, but like I kind of want to see Brendan Fraser kind of take on that
the
role.
Judge.
Yes,
dude.
Yeah.
No, I like this. This is an interesting casting. I like that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Like current day Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that.
He's a little bit more cut now. You know, he's lost a little bit of that body fat, and he's a little bit more. He's got that intimidating stare. I think he can pull something off with that if written well. Yeah.
Well, let's go to where everybody goes to Reddit.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So Reddit, I'll bring it up. This person, obviously people have been fan casting this probably for a very long time.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is. There are no names. This is the kid. The man. Well, I know who Ethan Hawke is.
Hawke,
the man the man. So this would be when he's a kid. This is when he'd be an adult. I don't hate that.
Sure.
Also, Ethan Hawke would be good for Glanton.
Yeah, he fits well really in most, even if it's not a Western, like in most scenarios, he's a
he's a
solid
good
actor.
Oh, this guy is the judge. That's a little. It seems almost like a little obvious.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't like hate it. I wouldn't be like no.
Yeah.
I can see this because if people don't know, this is the guy. He's most famously in the past few years was the first season of True Detective. He's the man with the green ear.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So he definitely has the capacity to be verbose and like weird and dark, sinister, like malevolent.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Joel Glanton, Chris Pine.
I could sure.
Sure, I could see that. Honestly, actually, I'd almost rather see Chris Pine as being the man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe he has to be more beaten down.
Chris
like
Pine
an Ethan
just-
Hawke.
Yeah, and also just Chris Pine just needs another good break. Clearly, like the last few films he's been doing have not served him well.
He's been hooking up with these
Yeah.
these fucking lady directors.
Yeah, right.
They're ruining him. I mean, the last thing I probably really liked him in was that like neo western,
Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water. Yeah, that
Yep.
was pretty good. Toadvine.
Yep, I see him popping up.
I don't think that's not a good choice for Toadvine, in my opinion. That'd be. What do you think of that?
I don't know. Just
I just don't. I don't see it.
yeah.
I don't see it. Honestly,
No,
I'd rather him be Toadvine.
Yeah, I mean, just
Or dude, he's gonna be the judge. If this gets cast today, this is the judge. You're looking at the judge.
yeah.
Seriously. And I don't like that, honestly. I don't think he'd be a great fit for it, but I can totally see that happening. He's one of the biggest fucking dudes. Like he's just huge. He's like Liam Neeson from 30 years ago.
You
Has
need
the
to be
same kind of.
You need to be a ripped Swedish man for this role at this point.
Black Jackson. Okay, sure.
Sure.
I can't remember the guy's name, but that's fucking what's his name? Eastwood. Clint
Is that
Eastwood's
his
kid.
son?
Yeah, it's Clint Eastwood's kid.
Okay.
I could see that. White Jackson being part of the gang.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Bryan Cranston as Tobin. Maybe. Sure. Not really exciting me. Captain White. He's a good actor.
Yeah. I wish I could.
He's a little old though.
Yeah.
Trumping says a decade or two ago, David Morse would have been a good judge in Blood Meridian. Ooh, David Morse. Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have been good. The Hermit, Chris Christopherson. I mean, isn't he dead?
Yeah.
This is from 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
the Veteran. I like this dude. He doesn't show up in very much these days. I remember him from Braveheart.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, I think he was in that show Sons of Anarchy. But he's a good actor. Spruill. Oh, this is another guy. I like this guy. He's a good character actor. I can't remember his name either. I wish they would have put the goddamn names. Dick Shelby. They really went into the paint. They're getting into all the characters. Doc Irving.
Oh,
Sure. Sam Tate. Sure.
Like as we were like breaking down like this list, it's like, okay, yeah, these character actors make sense. But yeah, like the head honchos, I don't like. We got to be very careful how we cast these guys.
You got to have somebody. Honestly, you know who would have actually Vincent Cassel as the idiot, as James,
Sure.
as the idiot. Okay,
Sure, yeah.
I could see that. I could actually see that if he would commit to it. I could see that for sure. Big Paul said Bryan Cranston should be Captain White. Actually, yeah, that is actually kind of more what I would see in my mind's eye. Somebody like Bryan Cranston. Sorry. Tarami says Garrett Dillahunt. They should cast him in every role in every movie. Garrett Dillahunt. The fuck is Garrett Dillahunt, Tarami?
Sounds like a name I should know.
It does. It sounds very familiar. Oh, yeah. He was telling us who that guy was. One of the people that I said, oh, I like that guy, but I don't know his name. Garrett Dillahunt. He's great. He's a great character actor. I remember him all the way back in the Sarah Connor Chronicles. He plays the bad Terminator. But he's good. He's really great in everything he shows up with, and he does a great. He has a great kind of Western vibe to him too. I've seen him in a few Westerns. But yeah. Well, another big story coming down the pike. If I can get my tabs correct. It's been a long day, everybody. I apologize. Pamela Anderson to star opposite Liam Neeson in the Naked Gun remake. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers director Akiva Schaffer will helm the Paramount Pictures feature. Well, I would say it's probably going to go to Paramount Plus, but I think they're getting bought by Sony. Like that's the big rumor. Sony's going to buy Paramount. So Pamela Anderson is going to basically be playing the what's her name? The Elvis one. Elvis's wife.
Yeah.
Priscilla Presley. Right. Priscilla Presley is Drebin's love interest in the movies. And I don't know anything about what she's doing. I know she hasn't been in a movie or anything in a long time. Right?
She's been kind of quiet for at least the last few years. I've not heard like a single story or.
Well, she got back in the news because they made that miniseries about her.
Yeah.
Her and Tommy, about the sex tape, about the scandal and everything surrounding that. And and people were so offended on her behalf that they actually made like a documentary about her life to respond to it.
Yeah.
And let's see what she's up to, because I don't think she's done anything recently. I mean, that's kind of it makes sense, honestly. If you're thinking about the Naked Gun, you're thinking about Priscilla Presley. Sure. I think she kind of works with that. Oh, she's done a few things here and there. 2018, 2017. I guess she made a cameo in the Baywatch movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been a big Pam Anderson fan.
I'm just more curious where Liam Neeson's head is at. I think at the moment, like I know, like I just saw an action film that he just did recently. What was it called here?
It's in the Valley of the Saints or something.
Yeah. Which wasn't bad at all. It was actually a lot of fun.
Hey, listen, a lot of those Liam Neeson movies that come out in February are totally okay.
Yeah,
they're all very watchable. Every once in a while, one of them's a turd.
Sure.
You know, Trami's over in the YouTube chat now. He says, "Evening weirdos, thought I'd come over here instead." He also says, "The Naked Gun remake, fucking shoot me now." The Naked Gun remake. I mean, Liam Neeson, I think, is a good casting for that, but he may be a little old.
Yeah, I'm wondering like if almost the casting was just on a name basis, like, oh, Liam Neeson kind of sounds like Leslie Nielsen, so we'll just we'll throw that in there,
just like alliteration.
Yeah,
no, you kind of sound the same.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I mean, he's got good comedic chops, though. He has good timing.
He does. Yeah.
Actually, there's a movie that most people didn't really like. It's A Million Ways to Die in the West. And he's like the heel in that. He's the bad guy.
Yes.
And that movie's, it's a spoof movie. It's a very silly movie. It doesn't take itself serious at all. It's very much made in the tradition of something like Naked Gun. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as a lot of people did because it was a Seth MacFarlane movie.
Sure.
Which I think is probably why people didn't like it just reflexively, like the critical community, because it's just a dumb kind of spoof comedy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't awful. It was not awful. But, yeah. I think he's been attached to it for a very long time. Like 10, 12 years or something like that. I feel like they where it announced this like a decade ago. And now they're just finally kind of getting around to it.
The only other thing I can think like remotely comedic is just I know like Liam Neeson did like a sketch or something with the Ricky Gervais. Like,
Oh, he was in the extras.
yeah,
Or
like,
Small World or something. Oh, it's
Small
the one
World-
with Willow.
yeah, with
That guy.
Yeah, Warwick Davis. Yeah.
Warwick Davis, yeah.
Uh,
One of
and-
the worst actors in the fucking world.
Oh my
Anyways.
goodness, I agree. Yeah. But Liam Neeson just playing it completely straight and serious, and like putting them on edge, and it's like it's the funniest thing, you know.
But that's what I mean. Like you can see Frank Drebin in that.
yeah,
Like you can see that. So he has the ability to do that and and deliver lines that way, like in the way
Yeah.
that Leslie Nielsen would have. So, I mean, do we need a Naked Gun reboot? No, we don't.
no.
It's like probably shouldn't it shouldn't get made. But the guy who's doing it, Akiva Schaffer, so that Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie, I watched half of it. I fell asleep while I was like watching it with my son. I never went back to it, but the first half of it was fine. It was actually surprisingly funny because they kind of turn it into like a Roger Rabbit type deal.
yeah. That's
and
what
there's
I
a-
hear. I haven't seen it myself, but I hear like that it's actually a faithful
okay.
kind of like version of that. Yeah, in a weird way. Yeah,
And it's okay. And it was totally, from what I saw of it, I never finished it, so I can't speak to like the quality of the entire movie. But from what I saw of it, it was okay. A few of the jokes landed. They make pretty good use of the ugly Sonic. You know, the rejected Sonic model from the original trailer of Sonic the Hedgehog. Like he's like at a convention trying to make money, and he's very unhappy. It was fun. It was funny. It was a good bit. In other news, Harvey Weinstein closer to freedom than he's been in a while.
oh,
Harvey
we're so
Weinstein's
back, baby.
2020 sex crime conviction in New York overturned. Now, don't freak out, everybody. He's still in jail. He's
Yeah,
still going to be
yeah.
in jail. He's serving a 16-year sentence, I think, for the one in California. But the reason they ended up dropping the case is because what they did during the case is they allowed a bunch of people that did not bring charges against him to testify that he had abused them. So people that basically, they haven't been vetted. They didn't bring any formal charges. They just wanted to go on stand, kind of like the Smears character. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Harvey Weinstein is a Hollywood scumfuck.
Sure.
Totally into the casting couch stuff. I 100% believe that. But I do think that they did contrive a bunch of stuff to get him. Like, they changed laws to get him in New York City.
Yeah.
They changed the statute of limitations. That's pretty crazy. Imagine being Harvey Weinstein and being like, they changed the fucking law. Like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Well, it's the same kind of actionable things they're doing with politicians and all these other celebrities too. It's just
Yeah, they're ignoring the law to go after people they think are kind of moral criminals.
sure.
You know, maybe they didn't do something illegal, or maybe they can't actually get them for the thing that they did because it was too long ago, and they're trying to find ways to kind of finagle cases. But I think when they do that, this is the result of that. This happened because of that. So now they're going to have to retry it if anybody takes the case. Nobody might take the case. The DA in New York is Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg's kind of busy right now. So nobody knows what's going to be happening with this case. But don't worry. He's still in jail. He's not going anywhere. He's still got 16 years. He was supposed to serve both of them one after the other consecutively. So he's still got 16 years. He knocked off 23 years for now. Trame says it was also a way for some people in Hollywood to get rid of him and get the light off of themselves for the time being. Oh, 100%. Yeah, he was like the sacrificial lamb, the sacrificial studio mogul. Like, they got to kind of obfuscate their stuff because of Harvey Weinstein. Everybody was just so anti-Harvey Weinstein that a lot of other people probably got ignored in the process.
And it's so far removed and weird, at least for like somebody like you and me who are a little bit more in tune with like all of these Hollywood types that are in bed with Harvey Weinstein and things like that, to kind of circle back and like slowly bridge their ties with him, or to say like, oh yeah, we never actually were friends. You know, that was like even Tarantino, like we talked about earlier, or just.
Well, Tarantino did kind of say, like, he basically says, like, well, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I didn't know that stuff was going on. That's what a lot of people took.
Yeah.
I think the only person that did not do that, as far as I'm aware, is Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Smith decided that any residuals he gets from any of the Miramax movies he made, he was going to donate to like some sort of like women's organization. His wife and his daughter made him do it. You know they did.
Oh, for sure.
They cornered him. They're just yelling at him. The dogs are barking in the background. Shecky! Shecky! Have you ever listened to a Kevin Smith podcast from like 5 years ago? His dogs are always in there, and he's always yelling at them.
Knock it off.
Yeah, serious. He's just high as a kite yelling at his dogs half the time, and then he's like, oh, yeah, Batman.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Oh, yeah, the Schumer cut. Which he got to show people. He got a hold of it. He has the Schumer cut, guys. And Kevin Smith was one of the early evangelizers of the Snyder cut.
Yep.
He's responsible. He's responsible for all these fucking Snyder Bros, these trolls.
He's got more cat claws into Batman than a lot of people give him credit for, and who knows what's going to happen in the next decade.
Who knows? Maybe we get Kevin Smith's Batman, the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. I mean, I don't hate Kevin Smith either. I know a lot of people have a lot of animosity towards him. I don't. He seems just like a fine dude. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I've got his book, like Tough Shit, but back here on my shelf too. Like, I mean, I there's a lot I've definitely taken from him over the years in terms of like an inspiring up and coming filmmaker, just out of the blue.
When I was a young kid, he was. I definitely had that experience with him because it made it feel tangible. Like, it made it feel like something that could actually be achieved. Like, you could actually make a movie. It can happen, you know? Mm-hmm. I always thought that was cool. And he was always very encouraging about that stuff. View Askew back in the day, in the late 90s, early 2000s, were very good about kind of supporting weird indie filmmakers. Actually, Matt Johnson, have you ever seen The Dirt? You've seen The Dirties, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's a View Askew movie. But that's a View Askew movie. That happened because of Kevin Smith. Yeah. And Kevin Smith wasn't involved in the production, but he's the one that helped it get a release. Because he saw it and he was like, holy shit, this is this kid's first fucking movie? That's crazy. Yeah. Because The Dirties is impressive. That's an impressive debut.
Oh, yeah.
And he's, and I'll give Matt Johnson this. He's always doing something interesting. I think I've liked everything he's done. Project Avalanche and then Blackberry.
Yeah, so far I think he had that series as well that he was doing.
Nirvana the band.
Right, yeah.
It was like Nirvana the band, the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It was on Vice. And it was okay. It was fine. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the show called Z-Rock from back in the day, or any other kind of mockumentary style comedies. It's kind of in that vein. And it was very entertaining, very entertaining. But here we go. Here's the actual big news. The actual big story. Once upon a time, the movie critic. That's right, everybody. How Quentin Tarantino's The Movie Critic fell apart. I would get into the article, but let me tell you guys something. The article says nothing, and it doesn't actually explain anything about how this fell apart because nobody knows. Actually, you know what's crazy? I don't think there's any actual official statement that this is true, but everybody's running with it. And the Hollywood Reporter wrote an editorial about it. So the Hollywood Reporter is usually pretty accurate. They're usually pretty good.
Yeah.
But it seems like the movie was changing rapidly as they were kind of amidst the pre-production for it. Like, he kept changing the script. I have a feeling that it's not going to be The Movie Critic, but it's going to be something that it morphed into.
Sure.
Because the rumor was that it was going to be a kind of meta send-off for the Tarantino verse. Like, Cliff Booth was going to be back in it. There was Margot Robbie was going to be in it. Mm-hmm. He was finally going to work with Tom Cruise, allegedly. Because allegedly, I guess Tom Cruise was the first person he offered Cliff Booth to.
Yes, yeah,
but he couldn't do it because of Mission Impossible. Although I think Brad Pitt kind of killed that role. I think it worked out for the best.
Yes.
What do you like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Oh, I love it. It's probably one of my favorite of his whole filmography. It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction, and then Jackie Brown is my personal favorite of his. Which, you know, it makes me wonder how Tarantino right now is viewed in the film scene, because it's really hard to tell from the disparity, I guess. Look, when he does Hateful Eight and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think he started to build this like reputation where he was not the he's definitely not the go-to indie guy anymore, obviously, or like the reference guy, but he's now viewed as like yeah, he sticks out like a sore thumb still. Like,
well, no, he has a very unique, idiosyncratic kind of vibe and brand that he brings to his movies. I mean, he still is the reference guy. He's just pulling from more obscure references.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is very much like a '60s like hangout movie.
Yes, yeah.
And that's what he was calling from. But he has like different phases. He has like different eras of his movies. Like you have like Reservoir Dogs up to like Jackie Brown, and then you have the Kill Bill movies, which kind of stand on their own. Mm-hmm. And then was it Inglourious Basterds? No, then it's Death. Oh, I guess Kill Bill and Death Proof, those kind of go together.
Sure.
And then Inglourious Basterds to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is kind of like just a different approach to making a movie, because they're more like novels.
They're like pulp novel, historical, like revisionist kind of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Even with Django a little bit, yeah.
Django too, yeah. Oh, that's right. I left Django out. Well, no, I didn't leave it out. But anyways, but the way that they're structured is more like a book. Like they're not. Yeah. They're structured literally in chapters, as if you're reading a novel. And I feel like, because I think, well, I know for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, apparently the novel version was the original conception of that story. Like he was writing the book before he turned it into a script. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense for that. But that's what he had been doing. I mean, Inglourious Basterds is very much like that. Hateful Eight is a lot like that. Yeah. Maybe not so much Django. Django's probably a little bit more of like a traditional narrative in a certain respect. But yeah, I mean, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is probably my favorite Tarantino. It's the most Tarantino movie he's made. Like, you really get a sense of him as like a person.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely one of my favorite theater experiences with my family too. You know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like it was one of those weird like cases where we were the only ones laughing and enjoying like so much of the humor and the jokes, and the whole audience was just not on the same page. I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember. I saw it in the theater, but I can't remember if I probably saw it like on like a Saturday afternoon with like a normie crowd.
Right.
But I saw Django when that opened, the opening weekend. Actually, it was like around the time my wife and I got together. It was around when Django came out. And we went to go see it like Christmas night, and that theater, it was a great theatrical experience, like a great theater experience. It was me, my wife, her uncle, and it was like a row of old black ladies. It was so weird, and we were all having a blast, dude. Like when Sam Jackson came on screen, like nobody laughed harder than those old black ladies.
Oh, yeah.
They were having the time of their fucking life. And it made the movie even more fun. Like, it just made the experience more fun to see that everybody was kind of into the vibe of the film.
Sure.
I'm trying to think how I would rank Tarantino. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Pulp Fiction. Inglourious Basterds. Jackie Brown. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, though, is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna call it now. It's my favorite one.
I think I did a Tarantino ranked list on Letterboxd for his movies.
Hit us with it.
Yeah, if I could just pull it up here real fast. Yeah. Jackie Brown is my number one. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction, then Reservoir Dogs, Death Proof, Kill Bill Volume 2, then Hateful Eight, Inglourious Basterds, Django, and then Kill Bill Volume 1. So.
Wow, Kill Bill Volume 1 at the bottom. I could see that. But it's one of those lists that's like, well, I like all of these.
yeah, no, it's like at the same time, like, I don't dislike any of these films.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I guess that's going to do it for the for the news. So now we're going to check out a trailer. This is the the new Shyamalan movie, right? I haven't even watched the trailer yet. I figured I'd just wait.
Oh, hell yeah. All right.
Yeah. Actually, there's 2 Shyamalan trailers came out because it's M. Night, and then his daughter also has a movie coming out. Her feature film debut is this summer. I think it's called The Messengers.
Yes. Yeah.
But anyways, let's get into some trailer talk. That's all right, everybody. It's time for trailer talk. We're going to be talking about Trap. Who's in this? Is Josh Hartnett's in it?
Josh Hartnett. Yep. There's like a couple recognizable faces in there, but it's mostly. Oh, I hate this Warner Bros. Logo, by the way.
The new logo.
Yeah.
I saw Loriz's post. That was pretty funny. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. They just suck all of the personality out of everything, dude.
Yeah.
And it's just because so they can code everything as generic for global audiences. Everything has to be just like this generic flat thing, whether it's movies, it's logos, it doesn't matter. It's fucking awful. We live in the darkest timeline right now for cinema. All right, let's see what Shyamalan's up to.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Lady Raven.
Hurry, come on.
Wait. I got time my shoe.
No dad jokes. This is serious. Come on.
I'm sorry.
You know, I gotta say, right off the bat, these performances are almost a little too natural.
Yes.
For an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Usually everybody, and I say this not in a negative way, but everybody sounds like they're autistic in M. Night Shyamalan movies because of his dialogue.
Yeah. I was going to say, just real quick, like, it does not read well. Like, no dad jokes, don't do that. Like, but they find a way. Like, the actors,
no, it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the corniness of it. You know, the corny wholesomeness that he goes for. Because this is something I actually really love about Shyamalan is how earnest he is.
Yeah.
Like, he really feels like he's trying to communicate something he cares about in his movies. Mm-hmm. Well, most of his movies. Maybe not so much like The Last Airbender or After Earth, but most of his stuff. Trembling says, make it dull for the dinks. Exactly.
These seats slap, Dad. Thank you. This is...
They slap. What did he do? He'd be like, hey, go ask his daughters. Be like, how do kids talk?
Oh, this shit slaps. Yeah.
They would say it slaps, Dad. If you took me to see Lady Gaga, it would slap.
Literally the best day of my life.
Also, I want to say I am here for the Josh Hartnett assance. I like Josh Hartnett.
Yeah, underrated.
And I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him as an older man give some performances. You know.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good in Oppenheimer, actually.
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. I can leave you here in the seat.
I'm good, Dad.
This guy hates cops. He's warning this guy. He's like, hey, man, don't get murdered tonight.
Yeah, do him. I gotta say, by the way, I do, and you'll see in the rest of the trailer, I do love how artful this is in terms of just like the realm of trailers we get these days. It is not doing the typical, like, okay, stoic pose, you know, say the line, do this thing or whatever. Like, it is kind of telling a natural short story, just to kind of get you sunken into the world of it.
It's kind of playful, and I like that. Trembling says, whoa, Josh Hartnett without the 90s Caesar hair he's had forever. Yeah. Although I think it's been about 15 years.
Yeah.
I think he might have ditched that after Sin City.
Cooper. Jamie. What's with all the police trucks outside? The cameras everywhere, Jamie. I'm not supposed to tell. Something happening? Don't rat me out. I won't. You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around just chopping people up? Well, the feds or whatever heard that he's gonna be here today, so they set up a trap for him.
I also love the direct to camera stuff. I actually like, and I mean that sincerely. I actually really like it. It's very effective.
This whole concert, it's a trap. They're watching all the exits, checking everyone that leaves. There's no way to get out of here.
I see them. Somebody help me! Dad.
There's something weird about cell phones in movies. They always look just like cheesy.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything, you know.
I understand.
They haven't mastered that yet, but it's because of the glare. But
it's the glare. I understand. Like M. Night's also trying to adapt with the times there too, like with his last few efforts. But just it never feels right. You just want to go back to an earlier time.
An earlier time, yeah. Trembling says Jonathan Demme eye contact with the audience. Thank you, Trembling. You know that's exactly who I was thinking of because I was thinking of Silence of the Lambs.
Dad.
I'm sorry, Riley. What was that?
That's a very real thing that when you're stressed out and something bad's happened and you're with your kid and they're trying to like, what's wrong? Why are you acting weird?
Get your attention. Yeah.
And you're like, what? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everything's great.
Yeah.
Signal Intrusion says they always have to come up with a shitty homemade UI for phones. Yeah, because unless it's like made by Sony, and then you get to use all the Sony stuff.
Ready for it. Let myself in your day.
Your daughter's never gonna forget this day.
You're kind of dope, right?
Great fucking trailer.
Yeah.
Great fucking trailer. Oh my God.
Even the title formation, like again, it still feels very Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
Like what we've known him for, you know.
Yeah, this is definitely leaning into that for sure, 100%. Now he's trying to kind of fulfill his early promise. That's what everybody called him back in the day. Like he's the new Hitchcock. I mean, he made like 2 movies and people were saying that. The guy didn't have it was almost like unfair.
Yeah. Yeah.
to do that to him. Like this guy who had made like a couple movies.
Give him a chance. Yeah.
Great trailer though, man.
Yeah.
What a great trailer. So, as we all are familiar with, what do you think the twist is going to be?
So they're already speculating right now that this is secretly a sequel to The Sixth Sense. I don't know if you've read any articles or seen anything on this, but
No,
people
I
are
haven't.
already thinking that Josh Hartnett's character is either Haley Joel Osment's character from that first film.
Can't cast him again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he looks like me.
right, yeah. Or it just exists in that same universe because of the one text scroll saying that from the world or from the universe of M. Night Shyamalan. So it's got to be something existent.
Yeah, I think they've kind of, at this point in his career, he's kind of said that they're all in the same universe. They're all the Shyamalaverse.
Yeah,
whatever. Trelling says trap and it isn't about a shim. Well, we don't know. Maybe that's the twist. Maybe that's the twist. I have a feeling if I were to say that there's going to be a twist, I think it's that Josh Hartnett is not the Beast. Or the Butcher, sorry. The Beast is from Split and Glass. I don't think he's the Butcher.
Oh, okay.
I think he's a serial killer. Or he's a weirdo. But I have a feeling that he's not the only bad guy there.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just have that sneaking suspicion. Because what else would be like a good twist? Like, what would be the third act twist that kind of recontextualizes everything? Although he doesn't do that every time anymore. Maybe for the better, too, actually.
No, yeah, he's been a little bit more subtle, at least lately with the last, like with Old and Knock at the Cabin. He's been kind of like dialing it back a little bit with the what a twist kind of
being oh my God, my mind is so blown right now. I mean, he did that. He tried to do that in Glass, and it was not good.
No.
I think actually Bruce Willis is a big reason why that movie is the way it is. Because I think of his he has a form of aphasia, but it's like not aphasia, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think because he was already not well by the time they made that movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Glass is a weird one because Glass is like the first 20 minutes are the movie you thought you were going to watch. Like that's the movie I thought I was going to see. Like up until they get captured and put into the insane asylum, like I thought that's what it was going to be. Like just like the character hunting the beast out in the streets and stuff.
Right.
I didn't expect it to be kind of a like purely psychological drama. Tremling says Hartnett is a new bad guy for Unbreakable, but they can't have it pay off because of Bruce Willis. His son's still around though.
Yeah.
I mean, did they? Well, they never said his son is not superpowered though. What a pussy.
I'll mention to your fans though, like I have like a super fan edit of Glass where I was trying to do my own version of it where I wanted to include like the scenes that actually mattered more than others.
Okay.
Maybe even like focus on Samuel L. Jackson's character more than other characters, like in name like only. But yeah, I just had that like on the back burner. Like it was like an editing thing for fun, you know.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
You know,
it's a good exercise, stuff like
right.
that. Of course.
Right.
Signal Intrusion says the butcher will be a woman, maybe Lady Raven or whatever. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels twist. That's you know, I think that's definitely a possibility. I think that's a real possibility. We'll see. I'm definitely gonna go see it.
Yeah.
I always like to see a new Shyamalan joint. Well, we did that pretty quick. You want to check his daughter's movie?
Sure. Yeah, we can cover that as well.
Have you seen the trailer for this yet?
I think I caught it like on Twitter at one point.
I'm trying to
not like professionally though.
I don't know his daughter's name, so I'm having a hard time finding.
That's another thing though too. Is just like he's dishing out movie after movie now, like each year. Like he's certainly like built up on momentum here with yeah, like he's already on the next project, and people, whether people love it or don't like it, you know.
Yeah, he's been very busy,
yeah.
basically since The Visit, because The Visit kind of revitalized his career. They're like, oh, okay, he's cool again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Trelmick says, I imagine Jeremy's edit has McAvoy footage from X-Men movies edited in. Oh, did you have to pull from other movies?
No, it was really just like deleted scenes, and then also pulling from
Unbreakable.
Actually, deleted scenes from Unbreakable and even from Split a little bit as well.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make those characters a little bit more condensed. When I noticed that, and I didn't know until like I think I talked to you about this years back on an earlier podcast, but I didn't know what Bruce Willis's condition was at the time. But I knew there was something off in his performance when watching that film.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, you know, I got to hone in then on the other two, you know, and do a special cut.
Because that was the frustrating thing about it. You're like, where is Bruce? Like, what is going on with Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what is going on with David Dunn.
Yes.
Like, I wanted him. I mean, I know that. I mean, the movie's called Glass. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get that. Sam Jackson was going to be more of the thematic focus of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. That's it's not. I don't hate Glass, but I was.
It's such a letdown. That's the only thing.
I was definitely let down by it. Yeah. But I didn't hate it either. Like that's just me being like kind of soft because of my affinity for Unbreakable and Split. Split's actually pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I remember when that came out being like so pleasantly surprised. Like I really just didn't see that movie coming because I didn't really hear anything about it. I think actually me and my wife ended up seeing like an early screening of it. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, so we really knew nothing about it, like what to expect from it, and it was pretty rad. James McAvoy on Taylor-Joy cutting her teeth. I think that's the first thing she did after The Witch.
Yep. I wrote like 5 paragraphs about it on Facebook when it came out, like a nerd. And, you know,
I did
only
well, my Letterboxd review is pretty long.
Yeah. Only a few people actually like responded to it very kindly, thing like, "Oh yeah, Jeremy, you got a good point." You know?
Fuckers.
Yeah, the rest of them, yeah, screw them.
Oh, there's nothing like friends when you're trying to like be creative or do something, you know?
Yeah.
Suddenly nobody's around. You're like, hey, where did everybody go?
Yeah.
I want to show you the thing I made. I gotta go. Yeah. Thank you. Trelmick says, was he saying that Bruce Willis was one of the aliens and demons from Signs with the water weakness? Dude, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows how deep this connection goes? All of his movies connected. Dude, you know what I would love? If Mel Gibson shows up in Trap. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make Trap a sequel to Signs. I'm liking that. A totally left field sequel. And we'll find out it also involves aliens. Maybe Josh Hartnett's one of them. And now Mel Gibson is an alien hunter. Get really stupid. All right, let's check it out. This movie is called The Watchers. This is Shyamalan's daughter. Her name is Ishana Shyamalan. I have not watched this yet, so we'll see.
I'm going out tonight. Try not to die. Try not to die. Try not to die. And I thought you couldn't talk.
Young woman with a drink in her hand. She liked to listen to rock and roll.
So
is this going to be like Promising Young Woman?
I was going to say, like, kind of already, like, casting Dakota Fanning, who has not had, like, a very tight career these last few years, is already, like, an interesting casting choice, I guess. But, yeah.
Well, I mean, she's out there. She's got her fans.
She's got her fans.
She was in The Equalizer 3.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, she's like the... Oh, and she was also... because when she was a little girl, she was in A Man on Fire.
Yeah.
And then they brought her... back to do like something for Equalizer.
There had to have been a self-awareness, like
100% it was, 100%. And I even watched the special features like Denzel talking about. It's like we had to get her, Love that girl, Trelming says, make it so Mel Gibson is convinced the aliens he encountered are just just Jews in true form.
Yo, God.
How dare you, Trembling? How dare you?
Don't look at me like that. It's just something I do sometimes.
I'll say this. I like the look of this movie.
Yeah.
I like the aesthetic of it.
It's got that slight A24 edge to it. And
Yes.
also, I gotta say, kudos to, what's her name, directing this, and Ashana, not doing the whole I'm a nepo baby, so I must change my name. I can't be attached to the Obamas.
Yeah. Well, no, her dad's name is right on the poster. I'm looking at the poster.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan. He produced it for her. Good dad. Good dad. Come on.
Very good dad vibes. Yeah.
Trembling says, her is Squeaky from You Could Smell Through the Screen.
I need some help.
Well, I guess she's being consistent. This is a horror trope when your protagonists are retards.
Yeah.
Just going out in the woods like this, yelling for help. Probably a bad move.
Yeah.
It's either nobody's going to be there and you've wasted your time, or something bad is out there. You
Look,
know?
when I've got really good 5G in the middle of nowhere, I always call for help before I even touch my phone. So
yeah, of course. I mean, you just like
would.
that human connection,
Yeah.
It's important in this age of cell phones and social media. Just cry out for help. Don't call 911.
Where's the car?
You have 5 seconds before the door is sealed. 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, we got mystery. We got intrigue. I'm interested. Trembling says, her in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I meant. Oh, yeah, Squeaky. That's right.
Yep.
Spawn Ranch. I could smell, you can smell Spawn Ranch. You can smell that house. For sure. Weed and B.O.
What is happening? What is this place?
I don't mean to scare you, but we haven't much time.
Oh, she's even got some Shyamalan actors. Wasn't she in a Shyamalan movie? Oh, no. Was she in Mandy?
Maybe. I'm trying to remember.
She's so familiar, dude.
Yeah.
I'll look. Hold on.
Much time. It's not wise to keep them waiting. They'll be very interested in someone new.
It's a window on the other side. They come every night.
And they watch us.
What is that? What are they doing?
Applause. For you mean it.
A bad place to break down. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That woman was from Mandy. She plays
Okay.
Mother Marlene. She's also in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that Netflix one.
Mm-hmm.
She's like Didn't she kind of save everybody? Isn't it implied that she's the woman from the original movie? She's like hunting down the family or something.
Yeah, and I never liked that plot point ever.
No,
It's
me
just
neither.
like, it's just
Stop trying to make everything connected.
Yeah.
Just stop.
How long have you been here?
I don't know.
And you've never seen one.
No one sees one and survives.
They have come to our world for a reason.
I'm not supposed to be here, and I'm not staying here.
They allow us to live because we follow their rules. You have broken too many.
What did he say? I'm trying to get in.
I saw myself.
Someone's out there.
This trailer is just kind of laying on every kind of menacing sounding a piece of dialogue, every mysterious piece of dialogue. It's like a very, kind of traditional thriller trailer. But I'm not opposed to it. I think it looks all right. What do you think?
I'm still kind of curious about this movie, but like as a trailer itself, like compared to Trap, like it's just not edited the same way that intrigues me more. Like I'm like, I've been here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Please open the door.
John? My husband's outside.
This is a trick.
This is like what they tell you when I was raised Catholic, and in Catholicism they have this concept that happens towards the end of the world called 3 days of darkness, where the world is going to go dark for 3 days, and if you're not in your house that's like consecrated, you will be subject to demonic attack, and they say that like the demons and stuff will come to you as family members and like knock on your door, try to get you to open the door and stuff, like kind of vampire stuff. Oh yeah, being a 5-year-old, hearing those stories was great. Probably explains a lot.
I'm doing great.
Sorry, did you say something?
I'm doing great. That's all I say. See, and part of the charm of like those early M. Night films too, like I know this is a Shauna, this is her first film, don't want to knock it or judge it. A lot of those scares, like those like jump scares or moments that people remember from those earlier movies, they're not predicted. That you never see them in the trailers. When they happen, they happen. Here, it seems like it's showing like a little too much, like already.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, but it's so ambiguous too at the same time. So I can understand why they do this because they want to make it as exciting and enticing as possible because she's not her dad, right? They have to sell her movie in a very different way than you would sell like one of her dad's movies. And also, his movies just aren't typical in that way. Even his thrillers aren't typical in that way, except for maybe, I don't know, like The Visit, maybe. That's pretty straightforward as like a thriller.
Yeah, and The Visit's an interesting example. Maybe it'll get brought up again at some point. But yeah, like he cast like 2 Australian kids.
Of course he did
for that role. For those roles. Yeah,
get those Aussies out of American cinema.
Yeah. Happy Anzac Day, by the way. Yeah.
But yeah, that's trailer talk. That was a double Shyamalan header. Is this coming out this summer as well? I think, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yep. This comes out before Trap does. It comes out June 14th, 2024. Mark your calendars, everybody. We're gonna get Shyamalan. It's gonna be a good time. So I guess without further ado, that kind of just brings us to the main event. So tonight we're going to be talking about found footage movies. We're going to be talking about some of our favorites, some of the ones we dislike, and also the subgenre as a whole. Jeremy, you're kind of somewhat of a little bit of an expert, right? Out of the two of us.
I mean, I would not call myself an expert, but as a longtime fan, have dabbled within and enjoyed what found footage has brought us. Like, yes, I'm in that scene for sure.
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, this is one of the things I think we bonded over pretty early was that we both really enjoy the found footage subgenre. It's not something that everybody likes, right? And yeah, but didn't you write a college thesis about Peeping Tom? Is that what you wrote it about?
Yeah, no, I wrote like a 20-page thesis, not even just on found footage genre and Peeping Tom as an example, but like the whole pseudo documentary as a whole, and how this has gone on like back into like the 1910s.
Yeah,
people have been
Nanaki, isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, essentially, like people have been adapting and creating things that are very very fictitious in their own right throughout history, and it's just kind of cool how it's evolved over the years, and then like what becomes more famous, what becomes less famous, how something like a Blair Witch Project movie is like the gold standard, and something like, I don't know, like whatever, what have you, yeah, some
found footage 3D.
Yes,
the bottom of the barrel.
Sure, yeah. On the flip end, yeah.
Well, it's kind of an interesting way it evolved. Like you had brought up, I mean, they started doing this stuff in the late 20s and early 30s with like Nanook of the North. I don't think is it called Nanaki? It's like the 8-man pseudo documentary. It's often, I think, referred to that and the Nanook of the North as being like the original, not necessarily found footage, but like faux documentaries.
Yes, yeah.
Because it was from a time period where you could actually fool people. Like it wasn't a subgenre. It wasn't a known thing. Like people wouldn't have gone to the theaters thinking that they were seeing something fake.
Well, that specific example too, people couldn't even tell the actual cuts that were happening when about like, yeah, a 10 family unit was like exiting their canoe and their dog on top of that, but they cut every single person coming out when clearly you look at this canoe like they cannot all fit in that thing. What is going on here?
Well, yeah, because I mean, people weren't sophisticated because it was such a new art form anyways. Like half the time people didn't even really know what they were looking at. They weren't familiar with the language,
Right.
And yeah, and it's progressed. I mean, another example, it's kind of an example, is Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
Yes.
That kind of fits into this in kind of a sideways way, tangentially. But it really starts taking off, I suppose, in the 90s, the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You have things like Henry that kind of circle this vibe.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because it's not a found footage movie or a faux documentary, but the way it was filmed, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of trying to give that kind of that this is real in the moment type of filmmaking by just having a lot of like kind of locked off shots and the way they presented the characters, the way they did the blocking. It was all meant to kind of emulate things like that. Mm-hmm. And then you had Man Bites Dog.
Yes.
Which it's definitely one of my favorites.
I'll say, right off the bat, honorable mention. Man Bites Dog is up there. Yeah.
I actually revisited most of it. I ended up falling asleep while I was watching it, but yeah, it's a very funny movie, and I kind of appreciate that it does not make any effort to justify the documentary crew at all.
Yes.
They just decided to sidestep that whole issue. They're just like, we're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
They're just going to watch him do stuff. And I forgot how funny it was, though. I mean, like, there's a scene in the very beginning of the movie where he's talking about how to get rid of a body. He's like, yeah, I like to dump him in rivers and stuff. And then he, like, pushes a corpse off a bridge, and it's a shallow river, and it just falls.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't know what else. What else are you thinking about when it comes to kind of the early goings of this subgenre?
Well, two things. The one, I love how that early like Criterion Collection era like embraced that movie like at the time that they did, because it's just so like not within their wheelhouse nowadays as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like as you mentioned, like it kind of speaks to just like, oh yeah, this is just what a serial killer's up to, like on a day-to-day basis, and we're just like we're documenting it. We're capturing the footage of it.
Yeah, we're capturing. They don't like remark upon like what they're doing. There's no like commentary about the morality of what they're doing, etc.
Yeah,
you know, because I guess you could assume they're like, well, we're like anthropologists. You know, we're out in the jungle and we just observe. We don't interfere. But the guy who gives the lead performance in that is excellent. He holds he makes that movie work.
Oh, he carries it. Yeah.
It doesn't work without him.
Yeah.
And that performance. I'm trying to look up his name. It's directed by three people: Remy Bellevaux, Andre Bonzel, and Benoit Polvidor. Benoit Polvidor is also the main guy. Well, there you go.
All right.
There you go. But what else when you start thinking about the early goings of the genre, even in the past like 30 years, like what comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pivotal ones that people like will end up going to is historically speaking, they'll bring up subjects like Cannibal Holocaust. They'll bring up the Blair Witch Project, and then they'll bring up something like Paranormal Activity, and then maybe some other outliers like within the subgenre that was trying to bank on any of those at the time. But what we were seeing for at least the last 30 years was just like this onslaught of like mockumentary filmmaking. The Office, as an example, then turns into Parks and Rec, and then all these other shows too. Like making everything to look like it's like there's a film crew there. That is the solid goal. And then to have it evolve and let the actors kind of riff and go off at that point. It started turning into this thing where like people were trying to play with different strategies on like filming in that style. I think you start to see a lot more shaky cam, a lot more slam zooms, a lot more things in films like as the 2000s like start to prolong. What's another good example? Like Project X is technically considered a found footage.
It's a found footage movie.
Yeah, but it's like played as a satirical. Yeah,
well, that's the thing about the genre.
Comedy.
Trembling brought this up in the chat. He says, "I think found footage for the most part has turned into the analog horror thing." And I think that's true. It's become usurped by the horror community, but it's something that you could do kind of with any type of story. Even some of my favorites are actually not like, maybe they're kind of in the thriller vein, but they're not like horror movies. Necessarily. I can't remember. Oh, is it what is the name? It's the guy, he ended up getting tapped to direct The Last Exorcist. And he did one of these it's not like a horror movie. It's about a guy that's going through with assisted suicide, I believe. What is it? The Last Exorcism. I can't remember the guy's name. Why won't it just come up?
There was one of those. Let
me see here. He's Daniel Stamm. Where Unnecessary Death. Unnecessary Deaths. And I actually saw that way before when it came out. And I was also very taken with it. And it was one of those movies that actually works so well that you're unsure of what you're seeing. Because even back in 2008, there was some ambiguity when you would see something like this.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't really sure sometimes. Like a few times I've almost gotten fooled.
Right.
I fooled my wife with one. We'll probably get to it at some point, but it was Lake Mungo.
Yes, yeah. Well, this was prime time too for just like YouTubers and people dishing out their old tapes, or like filming things on like an older school quality that was not.
Well, the creepypasta community, I mean, blew this up in terms of being kind of a low budget thing, right? Like with all the Slender Man shows and all the things that are kind of adjacent to that. I mean, and there's some really good ones out there too.
Oh yeah,
those like augmented reality games, essentially. But yeah,
I've never seen A Necessary Death though. Yeah, actually,
it's really good. It's really good, but it's a drama. It's not like it's not a horror movie. It's just about a guy that wants to commit suicide. The logline is documentary filmmaker looking for suicidal individual to follow from first preparation to final act. Cut from 142 tapes, this project sheds light on the tragedy following the infamous internet ad. So it's presenting itself as real, but it's not. It's not. Okay. And it's not assisted suicide. I misspoke. It's like he's just going to kill himself, and somebody wanted to document that. But yeah, it's pretty good, and it just kind of goes to show you what else you can do with the genre, and it can still be compelling and fascinating. You know, you even brought up The Office and stuff. I mean, there's no reason why this has to be relegated to horror, but that seems to where it's used the most, and I think that's mostly because they're cheap.
They're cheap. They're easy stories to tell, and yeah, I'm trying to think like if there was any sort of foundation before Blair Witch, but like there was a period where people were experimenting with that. Like, you've mentioned like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, where they incorporate, oh yeah, we have this camera. We're gonna put that into the film at one point to give a real sense of like what these characters are all about.
Yeah, it's like a tone, the control almost.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other movies. We mentioned Peeping Tom. It's not a found footage movie, but it utilizes POV very well. So it kind of makes it feel like it's a found footage thing at times. Last House on the Left has a very documentary style to it that I think contributes to kind of the texture of where these types of movies went in the future. Trying to just bring that really kind of gritty realism. I mean, because there's so many of these movies. There's a lot of them that are just kind of pure torture porn stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's whole subgenres within subgenres. We've talked about it. I've talked about it a few times. The August Underground movies. Have you ever seen those? Yeah. They're all shot on Shitty-O movies. They're just torture movies.
Yes, yeah. And that's where I've had to make the distinction, even for making this list too, is like to find like the clear line between those and like what's an actual found footage narrative or something that's being told, because so many people also were just like diving into like, oh, I could just like film a porno easily with my own like a little handy cam. All right, we'll just make it happen.
Well, and also like the faux documentary and kind of thing actually has its roots more in comedy. I mean, if you think about like This Is Spinal Tap and then everything Christopher Guest does after that.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's very much in that vein. It utilizes that format. I mean, it does it very well. Not everybody's as good as, Christopher Guest. But Trembling says, with them giving Kane Pixels his own movie, we will see how well the internet stuff works as a movie. But I guess we got a shitty Slender Man movie already. I never saw the Slender Man movie. I think there's two of them. There's one that's like
there's like two documentaries and like one really terrible movie that I watched in theaters. But yeah.
There's one that's like adjacent to the YouTube series Marble Hornets.
Yeah,
it's like, or they were trying to sell it that way. I don't think it actually is. And I believe the creators even said like, no, not really. They just they paid us to put the name on the poster essentially.
Yeah.
And then there is Slender Man, which was, from what I recall, hearing about, it was not very good. I never watched it. I just didn't really have much of that interest in it. Like I saw Marble Hornets and I was like, well, that's kind of, that's my Slender Man. That's my Slender Man stuff. Like I don't really care too much about other interpretations of it. Have you ever watched Marble Hornets?
Yeah, no, not like actively or like all the episodes, but when they were first like breaking out and what they were doing, it was like so ahead of the time.
It really was. It really
YouTube.
was. Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and they do a lot of interesting stuff. If you've never watched it all the way through, I think it's worth checking out for sure. Okay. I think you might even enjoy it, just like the aesthetic and the style. Seems like something that you would actually probably be into. I mean, you have to kind of take into account, like, they're college kids and they're, they were making this when they could. That's why it took years to actually finish. And they actually get better as the series goes along. Like their skill as filmmakers, as performers, because by the end of the series, they're asked to do a lot more kind of dramatically of themselves than they do in the early goings. And it's pretty good. I enjoy Marble Hornets. I actually even own the Blu-ray. The guys who made it sent it to me when I was supposed to review it. Never happened. This was a long time ago. But I don't know, what's a favorite of yours? What's one of your favorite found footage films or faux documentaries?
Yeah, so I guess if we're breaking right into it, I got to go with Willow Creek by Bobcat Goldthwait.
That's on my list too. Yeah,
it's on your list. Excellent, excellent. He has this great quote. I don't remember how it goes, but he basically essentially says that, you know, a lot of filmmakers that were trying to mimic what Blair Witch did so well distanced themselves from a lot of those movies and ended up being like these like spooky, you know, run around haunted house sort of like chase sequence sort of like films that
they have too much money.
They have too much money, yeah, and they completely forget like how stripped down they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And Bobcat Goldthwait, this comedian who like clearly does not have any sort of love or genuine interest in this genre, even though he made a movie about it, somehow pulled off like a solid movie that fits in that genre way better than all these other people with money could ever do.
Yeah, because that's a passion project, and he was going for a very specific thing. And also, Bobcat Goldthwait, if you guys don't know, is very into Bigfoot. He's very into the lore of Bigfoot. He believes in Bigfoot, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's a true believer.
I think so. He wanted to film this at a convention originally, and then it didn't work out. Yeah,
I think it changed, like what he was thinking of doing, because I think he was going to do something more akin to like follow like Bigfoot hunters, and then he was like, and he kind of took it back to the drawing board. He's like, no, that's like too obvious. You know, let's do something like, because those guys would not be scared in the same way that like the characters in Willow Creek find themselves by the end of the movie. You know, which is it's an incredibly dark fucking movie. Really, when you get down to when you really start thinking about the implications of what's going on in the last moments of the film.
Yeah.
It's very dark. Very dark. But yeah, it was a movie that I actually kind of bounced off of the first time I saw it. It wasn't until like subsequent viewings where I really started to appreciate it, you know? And maybe I was like too normie brained when I saw it, and I was just like not appreciating it for what you just described, you know, like on a meta level of like what they were he was actually setting out to achieve, you know? Because it's a movie, it doesn't really have a narrative. It doesn't have a plot, essentially. Not really.
Not really, no.
No, you're just kind of hang out with these characters. They're a couple, and they go to this town. The boyfriend's kind of into Bigfoot. He wants to film like his own little documentary about it. And off we go.
Well, two things that like really pull it together, and I guess one is in the performances. That couple was a couple at the time. When they were making it. So their chemistry is actually solid. You get to see all the bricks and layers. You see the ups and downs of, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done this. Maybe this was a bad idea. You see all of that like come into play. But also, you know, and I know it's cliche at this point because enough people on Letterboxd and other, on IMDb or someplace have like made mention of it. But, you know, that whole 18-minute sequence that is uncut where they're freaking out because Bobcat Goldthwait and a bunch of the crew are making a bunch of weird noises outside of the tent.
Yeah.
It's still effective. It's still really good.
Well,
and
dude, that scene is so masterfully done because of the peaks and valleys of it. Like it's constantly going up, 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 and then, oh, okay, there's nothing. And it perfectly kind of recreates the experience of being in a tent and hearing shit in the woods.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you wake up in the middle of the night and suddenly hear like, and like cracking sticks and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
It really successfully it recreates that feeling. Yeah. The actors are Alexi Gilmore and Bryce Johnson. Mm-hmm. And they're, from what I recognize both of them, and I think they're mostly in comedies.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they're mostly comedic actors.
Alexi Gilmore, she was in World's Greatest Dad, which is also a Bobcat Goldthwait film.
That's right.
So,
she's she's the woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Poor Robin Williams. R.I.P. Robin Williams. Trembling says, I want 80s Bobcat Goldthwait being chased by Bigfoot. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the noises he makes. Yeah, it's a great pick. That's a great pick. You know, I almost forgot that. And then it was like, as I was going over my list before I hopped on, I was like, oh shit, Willow Creek. That's right. I was like looking at my movies.
Yeah.
It's like, which ones do I have? Which one? I felt like when I was compiling my list, I was like, I know I'm forgetting so many of them. Like I've seen so many of these over the years. And a lot of times with found footage movies, there's a lot of mediocre stuff out there. So while you might enjoy watching it in the moment, there's not exactly things you go like revisit very often. Very rarely do I ever revisit stuff. I have one that's kind of more of an honorable mention, I suppose. I wouldn't put it in like my top list, but it's a movie called The Conspiracy. Have you seen that?
Yeah. So this one's actually been on my watch list. I've not actually seen it though.
Okay. The Conspiracy is pretty good.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's about these guys who kind of like stumble into the world of the elites, like the Illuminati type stuff that you always hear about, and these rich parties where they're doing all sorts of weird, fucked up things, It says a documentary about conspiracy theories takes a horrific turn after the filmmakers uncover an ancient and dangerous secret society. And it's very good. It's very good, very underrated. I don't hear people talk about it a ton, honestly. But it's not something I go back to very often, but it's something that has stuck in my mind for years.
Right.
And I can like clearly think back to like moments and scenes. So I figured it was worth mentioning because of that. And because I think something like this is a good opportunity to kind of mention a few of these movies that maybe not a lot of people have seen.
Sure.
The Conspiracy is totally worth checking out. I'm not sure where you can watch it right now. Maybe Tubi, I don't know. But give it a go. Give it a go if you can. I watched it on a whim, like back in the 2013 on Netflix, And I think I only watched it the one time too. And it's still stuck with me. So,
has that director gone on to work on anything else?
let me see. Christopher McBride.
Yeah.
What else has he done? Seems like he's done a few things as a writer. He did a movie called Flashback in 2020.
Okay.
Looks, is it a Amazon Prime? It might be an Amazon Prime movie. Let me see here. Flashback. I've never seen this. I've never heard of it. After a chance encounter with a man forgotten from his youth, Fred literally and metaphorically journeys into his past. Sounds like a good time, but it's got everybody's favorite it girl of the moment, though. Mika Monroe.
Oh, there you go.
Who doesn't like Mika Monroe? She's everywhere.
Yeah. Do we have to square her in as like our rating of the night, or yeah?
Oh, I guess we should. You know what? Mika Monroe's pretty attractive.
She is.
I'm gonna give her a solid 9. I'm gonna do it. I'm throwing it down. I'm a gentleman.
I'm gonna say 8.7. Yeah.
8.7. That's fair. I think that's fair. That's fair. You don't want to come off as a coomer.
Oh, of course.
You know. Trembling says they haven't fully taken advantage of police body cams as a way to make found footage movies. Well, that's another movie we have to talk about, is because it's not in the horror genre, so I figured it was worth talking about, which would be David Ayer's End of Watch.
Yep.
David Ayer's End of Watch makes prodigious use of the body cams. How has something else done the body cam thing too? Was it like Rec 2?
There was. It's not cop or police related, but Dashcam kind of does that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, because it's a GoPro.
Yeah.
Let me see. Found footage, body cam movies.
GoPro is usually implemented as like an extra tool in like, oh, we didn't get this one shot, so we're gonna put it into this like traditional film or something like that. Like the Peter Jackson's The Hobbit did that at one point, and yeah.
Did what? What? What did it do?
Oh, The Hobbit Part 2, like when they're like going down the river, they cut to like a weird random GoPro shot. Like,
oh, really?
For like 4 seconds or something, yeah.
Oh, shit. I did not know that. Well, you know that Peter Jackson. He's pushing the bounds, you know?
Yeah.
Trembling says she's a 9 to me, too. Well, good, Trembling. I'm glad we found one for you.
Yeah.
He also says Rec 2 did use it. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
I haven't seen Rec 2 in a very long time, but I had a distinct memory of, because it's with like the SWAT team goes into the hotel, takes place like right after, or the apartment building, sorry. Takes place right after the events of the first one. Trembling says, I love all 4 Rec movies. You know, I don't think I've seen past 2. I think I went to
first.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I was gonna say I've only seen the first two as well, and Quarantine, but
Yeah. Quarantine. What do you think of that as a remake?
Nothing special. Not
really. I thought it was. I thought it was fine because it's like such a almost like a slavish recreation of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can put those movies on like side by side and they almost match.
They do. Yeah. I'll grant you that. I think it's just it really just kind of came down to like the order in which you watch it, and I just happened to watch Rec.
I saw Quarantine first.
Okay.
And then I saw Rec. And then because when Quarantine came out, this was back in the days of like movie rentals, going to movie stores like Blockbuster and stuff. So when Quarantine came out, they also had Rec there on the shelf too.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it even had like an English release before the first movie came out. That was kind of a thing though, because I remember we were talking about The Ring earlier. Ring You, there wasn't a DVD of that until The Ring was out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a common thing. Trembling says 3 is a side story one that starts found footage, then becomes a regular movie. Yeah, isn't 3 the wedding? They're at like a wedding, I think. And 4, I don't think I know anything about 4. I don't know anything about 4, but I did not hate Quarantine though. What do you think of Quarantine, Trembling? Huh, buddy? What did those guys do?
That poster doesn't spoil a single thing ever.
Oh, yeah, I know. That was crazy. But isn't the Spanish poster the same though? Or no, it's not. It's just her
Not
eye.
really. It's just the it's just the eye.
Yeah, that's literally the final shot of the movie. Let me see here. John Eric Dowdle. What else has he done? What have you done, sir? He did
Screen Gems.
Oh, he did Waco: The Aftermath, that recent Waco series with which is a sequel to the Waco one from a few years ago.
Yeah.
The one with Michael Shannon. He did that. What else has he done? What else have you done, sir? Oh, he did As Above, So Below, which didn't make my list, but I don't think I hate that movie.
I like Jennifer Carpenter as well. I mean, like if you're gonna pick like a cast, like she's great. And just but everything. I mean, Exorcism of Emily Rose. That was like her breakthrough.
That was her big breakout, and then Dexter, and then she was on Dexter.
Yeah.
The Poughkeepsie tapes. He directed the Poughkeepsie tapes. So.
Oh, he did. Oh, wow.
Yeah, he directed.
That's on my my follow up list. Yeah.
Is that in your honorable mentions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on mine too. Let's talk about it. The Poughkeepsie tapes. So this movie was shelved for years. It just got released like a couple years ago officially.
Yeah.
Trembling says, I never saw Quarantine. I have avoided it. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's better than you would expect it to be.
Yeah.
I can at least say that. But it's like I said, it's such a slavish recreation that if you've seen Rec, yeah, it is kind of redundant. It's pointless.
Right.
But that was back in the time. So the Poughkeepsie tapes, though. Let me see here. Gotta bring it up. Copy link address. What do you think of the Poughkeepsie tapes? I know we've talked about it probably before, probably when we did the Blair Witch episode. What are your feelings on the Poughkeepsie tapes, sir?
It's one of those like rare few examples that like really touches into the true crime genre before like it was popular to do that.
Yes.
And it finds a good balance, and I want to see other cuts of it. I know there's got to be other scenes that they have not shown us still.
Do you think so?
Maybe. I don't know. Didn't they release a recent Blu-ray or something?
They put a Blu-ray out, but I don't think it has any features on it at all. Like Shout Factory put it out, or Scream Factory, one of them.
Right.
Trembling says, is Poughkeepsie tapes good? In my mind, it's like August Underground, so I have avoided it. No, it's not like an August Underground thing. I mean, it's definitely disturbing. And certain scenes are certainly disturbing, and the guy who they have playing like the serial killer is very effective. It's one of those movies that gets very, very close to feeling authentic.
Yes.
Very close.
Oh,
There's a couple actors that kind of give the game away. Because they're just they're not great.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of breaks the verisimilitude, like takes you out of the movie a little bit. But when it comes to the found footage aspect of the movie, like when you're watching the tapes that were filmed by the serial killer, it's very effective.
Yeah.
Incredibly effective.
It feels like very like early video on demand. That's how I almost like interpreted it. Was before a lot more movies like of this same vein like started to become very theatrical. Like this like was actually trying to be as like real as possible.
Yeah.
Know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it comes very close. It comes
does,
very, very close. It's kind of like in the same way that Lake Mungo comes very close.
Yep. Yep.
Like Lake Mungo. I mean, I showed that movie to my wife, and she didn't really understand that it was, because I didn't tell her on purpose. I was like, when else are you going to get an opportunity to like show somebody Lake Mungo and them not know what it is?
Yeah.
So I had some fun with that, but like, but she was with it up until like basically the last 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the psychic therapist person, the actor. She's like, that's an actor.
Yes. Yeah.
Like this guy's not very good. Because the family is so authentic. Like the footage in the movie feels so authentic and real.
Mm-hmm.
The cell phone footage of like the last moments of the girl's life is incredibly
it's so
scary.
effective.
Yeah,
Yes.
it works so well.
Yeah.
And then they did this really smart thing with that movie where they layer all of this family trauma stuff that's going on that they use as the mystery reveal. So the mystery is not actually like who killed her. It's what happened to her.
Yeah, what happened to her, and like, is she still even around? That's the whole. Yeah.
Well, no, she's a ghost. She's dead.
She's dead. Well,
she's dead. But is her spirit there?
They play up.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love the fake outs of that movie. Like it so effectively fakes you out when you find out like the brother is the one that's like actually like hoaxing everybody, but then it's like not really a hoax. It's good. It like really even just as a fiction narrative, it keeps you guessing as to what the twists are up until the very end. Like you don't really guess where it's going. It's constantly kind of shifting and moving in very effective ways. Very effective ways. Trailing Gas is Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon on either list. It's not on my list.
No.
No.
But sounds
no.
Yeah, sorry.
Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I've actually watched it. Sorry, Trembling. But
I only saw it for the first time like a couple years ago, and it's like a movie I wish I saw when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like Man Bites Dog in the sense that like they're following around a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's in a world where all of like these movie villains are real. So he's like and he wants to like elevate himself to the place of like Jason and stuff like that. So they have all these meta conversations about horror movies. I haven't seen it since the first time I watched it. I remember thinking it was okay. It was fine. Maybe a little too meta, maybe a little too like self-referential for my taste in certain respects, because it seems like ground zero for like modern horror bloggers. Like, oh, dude, he's talking about Jason. Oh, dude, he mentioned Freddy. Like, oh, dude,
I know that. Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter, dude. So yeah,
OP property.
I got to revisit that. I got to take it. I got to take it for another spin. Maybe I'll appreciate it differently in my aged years here. Mm-hmm. What else you got, buddy? What else is on your list? I just have a giant list of these, not necessarily my top, but
yeah. So yeah, we've already covered Willow Creek, Lake Mungo a little bit too. Lake Mungo was number 3 on my list. And it's tough, even with that one, like because that is a full-on pseudo documentary. It's got found footage in it, and
it's like watching an extended episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it works really well. I think it works really well. If people haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend Lake Mungo.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah. One, I thought I'd watched this when it came out, and it'd been many years, and I was even like in a group chat when the film came out, and I know you've seen it too, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it as well. But Be My Cat.
Be My Cat is on my list. It's where did it landed at number 3.
Okay.
I've actually talked to the director. You can just reach out to him. He'll talk to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, I did a YouTube review of it years ago.
Yeah.
And he's one of the 3 comments there.
Yeah.
It's him and his partner that he makes the movies with. They both were like, yay. Because it wasn't like it was kind of like almost like an underground movie for a while.
It was
I
for a
remember
bit,
just
yeah,
like hearing about it, and then it showed up on like Amazon one day. I was like, oh, there's that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is I think one of the more unique and interesting found footage movies out there. Because it has like this really interesting meta quality. It's one of these movies. It really does keep you guessing about like what is the reality of the situation. How many layers are here? Because there's all of these kind of separations between the filmmaker, the character, filmmaker, the movie that he wants to make, the movie that he is making at the moment. Like, where do all these things kind of mix together?
Sure.
And I think I kind of figured it out. I think it has to do with when they're speaking English and when they're not speaking English. And the thing that clued me into it was that in times of distress, the girls speak English.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, why? Why would you speak English? Because they are openly speaking Romanian in other parts of the movie. So it's not like, so I'm like, oh, is this actually like part of the movie that he's making?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he does a great job with that. The main guy, I'm going to bring up the movie because the main guy is Adrian Tifo, I think.
Yeah,
or Tifo?
Adrian Tifo. Like he's
he's an
I'll just say right now, like, and he's got a few other films under his belt that he wants to get out there at some point.
He's almost done with his next one.
Yeah, yeah. What a just like completely believable, even like to such an insurmountable like amount of just like what you would expect out of a psychotic performance from somebody. The guy, like, he just nails it naturally, and like it's like he's always been doing this for years, and he's now just capturing on camera, you know, like for the first time.
Yeah, because he's like he plays like this completely like delusional, very excitable, eccentric, true artist.
Yes,
he's like the true artist, right? He wants to do things like real. He's all about reality and capturing the reality, and he'll do anything for it. And the conceit of the movie is that he's making basically a test movie to send to Anne Hathaway, so she'll be in his movie called Be My Cat.
Yes, yeah.
Which it's implied that he literally wants to transform her into a human cat.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's one of those movies, and it's effectively unsettling. It makes you kind of uneasy. And also very funny at the same time.
Right.
You know? Yeah. It's working on all these layers. It's such a special movie. It's not going to be for everybody.
No.
I can imagine a lot of people kind of bouncing off of this, but I really enjoyed it. And this is one of the ones I rewatched this past weekend, and it's still just as good. It's great. It was great.
Well, also watching it too, like, I mean, it, you know, and I not to do like a shameless plug or anything, but like, you know, it reminded me like of what you typically do on Nightcap as well, when you're just like covering like random like YouTube videos of like people that we have constantly like
he'd be a guy
with.
He'd be a guy.
He'd be one of those guys.
Yeah. You and I would come back once a year to talk about Adrian Tofay.
Yeah.
What is Adrian up to?
Yeah.
But he's kind of like a real nut though.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like they come from the Romanian stage, and he's like a method actor.
Okay.
Apparently in this, he stayed in character for the entire shoot, which was like 20 days. Him and his partner, his filmmaking partner, is like Dura something. I can't remember her last name. But the movie they're working on now, they've been shooting for years.
Yeah.
And I guess they stay in character for months at a time. And they only break character when something goes wrong with like production, and they have to like be adults.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know what I found out? His next movie is a fucking anti-natalist movie.
No.
Yes.
Right. Seriously?
Yeah. It's called We Put the World to Sleep.
Oh yeah. No. Okay. I didn't know that was the plot, but
yeah, Duro Yücel. Adrian and Duro get lost in the characters they play in an apocalyptic film and embark on a secret mission to end the world for real. Second entry in Adrian Tofay and Duro Yücel's trilogy, which includes Be My Cat, A Film for Anne, and Pure. And Pure they haven't made yet. I I'm definitely very curious about this movie because
Yeah.
what they're trying, clearly what they're trying to do as actors is mirror the characters like in their reality. So I'm very curious to like how crazy it gets. But yeah, and he kind of markets it. He does his own YouTube channel. He was trying to I think he was trying to raise money for a while. I think I even throw him like $20 a couple years ago. So he was like doing these Q&As, and I felt so bad for him because I was like one of like 3 people in there, and I had to go. And I was like, should I just like leave? I'll just leave the window open.
Yeah.
Just leave it open. I don't want to leave him alone.
We'll
but
have
yeah,
to,
how did you hear about that movie? Like, when did you see it and stuff?
I'm trying to remember. Like, it was just like, yeah, because it would have been like post when I was done cross country, high school, and everything. Yeah, like it was just like word of mouth, like mostly, like because I was like in those like tight circles of just people that were like, in some weird way, we're just like deeply following those kinds of like accounts, like channels and things that were like uploading independent like weird horror shit that you would not see at all in the mainstream, like period. Very, very autistic, you know.
Yeah.
But this, yeah, like this was like post, like The Bay, The Borderlands, all these other found footage films. Like I when I finally like I thought I had seen it, and I just watched it recently. And I'm surprised that like I had not watched it in the past.
Yeah.
Because it is shot so matter of frank. It is not doing anything tricky or different. It is actually like throwing you off. Like this is a normal 1 hour and a half like long YouTube video in a way.
Yeah, because it is very like of the moment, like you said, matter of fact. Like it's just him holding the camera. Like that's he's the cinematographer. It is very much like that.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of creative ways of hiding the violence.
Yes.
Because he has a conceit in the movie. He's like, Anne, because he's always talking to Anne Hathaway. He's like, Anne, this would be too scary for you. I put up a sheet. And then he just describes what he's doing.
Even his whole commentary, like too, like he has a few moments where he talks about it, like his obsession with cats and whatnot. It's like, I love cute girls, I love cats, but I don't those dogs and those men. No, I've been bullied way too many times. You know.
Maybe I'll see if I can pull up a clip.
It's so like that's all you need too. Like in. Whether it was intentional or not, he nailed that character. Like that's all you need to really know about the guy.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll take a peek at the trailer real quick because it's like it's something you kind of have to see.
Yeah.
To get the vibe of who this dude is, and this is a movie that like another kind of one of those movies I don't think a lot of people have probably seen.
No.
And I think it's definitely worthy of your time. Yeah, and then he ended up getting this released. I think it's on YouTube. You could just go on YouTube and watch it. Yeah,
that's how I watched it. Yeah. Convincing Hollywood.
It was initially seized by authorities. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh, the end is so good.
Oh yeah. Oh, love it.
You love me.
Hello, Anne. My name is Adrian. I'm from Romania, and I want to make a movie with you. I saw you in Dark Knight Rises, and you're...
And I love that he's like a cinephile, and he's like brings up the Dark Knight Rises, and he doesn't like mention like what is it? Is it Margot at the wedding?
Oh yeah,
that would have been around the same time too.
Yeah.
You're my actors. This is a film I'm making right now to convince you to come here and make that movie with me. I even convinced 3 Romanian actresses to play in this film to show you how I'm gonna work with you on Be My Cat.
I gotta say, this trailer is very misleading.
Yeah.
Because that music is selling a different experience. It's the music. The music is. It's much. It's like it is a very dark movie, but it's also very light at the same time. Just because of his character, like it's very funny, and you can't help but kind of like him. He has this odd, enigmatic quality.
It's funny and like I hate to say it, but like relatable too. Like there's a weird oh yeah, like I've just got this handy cam like in my storage unit, whatever. I'm gonna film this thing at this location for a day, and it's just like,
and I'm going to make a movie.
Yeah.
And I like, apparently, like, you know, because he's always trying to blur the lines between reality and the movie.
Yeah.
So none of the actresses knew what he was doing initially. The first time you see them is actually the first time they met in the movie. During the making of the movie, he decided to use nothing but first takes.
Yeah.
The whole movie is just first takes. Like, so he's like, you know, I don't want to sound like too pretentious, but he's like a real artist. He imbues his movies with more than just like the material of it. Like he's trying to like give it a sense of purpose and perspective just through doing things like that. It kind of makes it more real.
Yeah.
You know? And I like that. I'm excited for, even though it's an anti-natalist movie, I am excited about it. I did see there's an anti-natalist in the chat. I didn't answer them though. Nia Esto, why do you hate anti-natalists so much? I don't know. Look in the mirror. So what else? Oh, you just said Be My Cat. I'm going to throw another one. This is actually my number one for right now.
Okay.
My number one today. It could change. I also revisited this movie, Descent into Darkness, My European Nightmare. Have you ever seen that?
No, I've not seen this, but this actually is on my list as well.
It's on Tubi.
And hell yeah.
It is excellent. It is excellent. It's a very tough watch at some point. It's basically watching a guy kind of lose his mind. So he's a dude, he's kind of like a Borat, and he goes to France to film like a vlog, like a travel journal for a news station from his country. Terrifying French horror movie about a journalist who arrives in Paris to film a documentary about the European dream. A series of poor decisions and bad luck derail his project and drive him to a devastating state of madness. That's pretty accurate. It's a movie that just keeps ramping up. It's like this, almost like a comedy of errors. Like you're watching this guy just like fuck up over and over and over again. It's giving you anxiety. It actually made me feel the way people told me I was supposed to feel when I watched Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
It actually truly gives you like anxiety, like truly, as the movie goes on. It is a deeply unsettling movie, and it has a lot of layers to it too, because it's about kind of like how people treat foreigners and about the other, and how being ostracized from people and community kind of makes you feral. These kinds of like kind of themes and subjects, and yeah, it's another movie that you will never see the ending coming. So I'm not going to spoil it because it is something crazy. It's crazy. It gets fucking wild towards the end of the movie, and I would definitely recommend that one, 100%. I'm surprised you've never seen it.
No, it like it's definitely been on that list for a long time. I just never got around to actually. And since you like even proposed doing like a top 5 or a list of some sort, like I've had to go back to some of the films. Like, oh yeah, did I actually watch that?
Or did I like that?
Did I like that? Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's like one of the dilemmas of being like the kind of movie nerds we are. Like, watch like so much stuff.
Yes.
That like honestly,
sometimes it gets got a little lost. Yeah.
Dude, I sometimes I use Letterboxd to go back and see what I thought of something.
Yeah.
Like I'll look it up. I'm like, have I seen this? Like, and I've done enough movie reviews like on the Zoobox channel that sometimes I forget which ones I've done. I have to go check.
Right.
To go check to make sure I hadn't done it already. What else you got?
I want to just like quickly just go through a bunch of honorable mentions, and maybe like there's some overlap here for both of us. But I think, you know, it's hard to not leave out like some of these classics that are been popularized over the years. Paranormal Activity.
Yep.
1 through 3, I think, are actually all solid. And then that series starts to kind of dip in quality. I like the Hispanic one they did.
Oh yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, when it was like at least having a little bit more fun with itself, and then it went back to this like Yeah. We gotta close up the series. We gotta figure out like what's going on.
They did. Okay, this is like the trajectory. So they did 3, they did 4, which the big thing was the Xbox peripheral, the fucking motion sensor thing. That was like the big thing for that movie. Then they did the marked ones.
Yes,
which is the one you're talking about. That's the Spanish one. Yep. And then they did Ghost Dimension, which is basically just doing a Paranormal Activity movie, but with big special effects for some reason, because that's exactly what people want out of a Paranormal Activity movie. Mm-hmm. And then they try to bring it back recently with Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, which I think I watched, but I don't remember anything about. I don't remember a single fucking thing about it.
Yeah. At that point, they were far gone. They did not have much room to really fill at that point. And
well, I don't understand why they stopped on the road that they were on. Like they were on the story about that family. Actually, in 4, is that supposed to be related to?
It's still related in 4, but like it's just a completely like different family dynamic, but that same character is still there.
Yeah.
Mika's girlfriend. Yeah. But at that point you're like, you're not interested anymore. It's not. They're not trying anything. Those first 3 films, like even 3, which was kind of struggling a little bit, like at least it pulls you into the storyline, and then they just gave up.
And it does some fun stuff. There's some fun, clever kind of set pieces, even in 3. I mean, actually, if I were to rank the first 3, I'd probably go 1, 3, 2.
Probably, yeah.
That's probably what I would do. I did see Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. I just checked my letterbox. 2 stars. Not great, even with my expectations hanging out somewhere near the center of the earth. I was still pretty underwhelmed. It was just really, really boring, but not in the good way in which the first few entries of the series were able to accomplish, but in the way that made me just want to turn it off and watch something else. It does have a somewhat interesting angle. It's not for lack of trying that the movie doesn't work. It really lies in some of the performances and the direction. It was just incredibly bland. Also, and maybe this is just me, modern cameras look way too slick to really pull something like this off. It's all digital clean, in desperate need of some texture.
Yes.
That was my review. There you go. Which I think I can't remember the movie, but I trust me. I believe me. So you brought that up. Let me see here. What's another one? Well, I guess we covered the Blair Witch Project. So if everybody would like to hear our extensive thoughts on the Blair Witch Project, there's like a 3-hour Goes to the Movies on our YouTube channel where you can go check that out. Here's one that didn't make my list, but it's a movie I like, Troll Hunter.
Yeah, that's on my honorable mentions. Yep. Troll Hunter.
Troll Hunter's really good. The Bay. That's on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty effective. What are a few more of yours?
I've got those. Wreck, we already talked a little bit about. I know we've. Cloverfield. This one. Yeah, this one made the rounds when it first came out. Like people were psyched for this.
It was a big fucking movie. I saw it in the theater. Everybody did. You're at the perfect age for it too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a cool idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like basically, essentially, a big Godzilla kind of movie with in found footage. And I don't hate it either. Like the first Cloverfield is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I enjoy it for what it is. It's been years since I've revisited it though.
In hindsight, though, like well, on the one hand, I love the video quality of it because like they're just not shooting, even on a mainstream level, they're not shooting on that kind of like format as much anymore. They want to go like extra upscaled. But on the other hand, I wish I saw less monster. I wanted it to be like a lot more suspenseful. You know?
They're not hiding the monster in that movie. No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
But the marketing was like so on point. Like they knew what they were doing. You know?
Oh yeah, do you remember the poster? And
everybody
trying to figure out what is the cloud? It's in a shape. This looks like, I think people thought it was going to be a Godzilla movie actually.
No, people did. Yeah. No, I remember like even like amongst my my friends and classmates and whatnot, like we're like, oh, we're gonna get the next Godzilla, but it's gonna be found footage.
Hell yeah! What were you like 10 years old when this came out?
Oh shit, 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have been about 12, 13. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Perfect age for that.
Yeah.
Perfect age for that movie.
Yeah.
Grave Encounters didn't make my list, but I think the first Grave Encounters is pretty entertaining. It's basically like Ghost Hunters, like the show Ghost Hunters. If anybody's ever seen that wonderful program, hosted by Zach Baggins, it's very much like that. Even I'm pretty sure the lead character or the host, the guy who plays the host, is making fun of Zach Baggins a little bit.
Yeah.
And just like even his hairstyle is similar to Zach Baggins, if memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
But I remember that being pretty okay. I mean, it's more of like we were talking about earlier, like the haunted house, spook show, run around, monsters everywhere type thing. But I thought it was pretty effective for what it was. I haven't seen it in years though. So
that film, if I remember correctly, like had fun with that format, and before it became like the trendy thing to do with all those movies.
It was right there. It was like right at the beginning of that boom, like post Cloverfield, essentially. There was like a 10-year period where they were just pumping these things out, pumping them out. Unfriended 1 and 2. I thought those were honorable mentions. I was very pleasantly surprised by both of those movies. Not things I would revisit very often, but I remember the first Unfriended has a few very effective set pieces. I think they play like the game Never Have I Ever over Skype or whatever.
Yes.
It's actually a very effective kind of scary scene. Does the movie make any sense? No. That's okay.
I can't say I have the best or fun memories with the first Unfriended, but the second one, I was a significant better version of what I probably wanted. I think if I remember, because it's those two guys.
Yeah. Well, it's a different. I think it's different directors, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time, so you'll have to forgive me if maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misremembering. But I remember it being like I was pleasantly. Maybe it's because I just had like no expectation for it. Like I just didn't. I went in watching it thinking it was going to be bad. Like I watched it because I thought it was going to be bad because I do that kind of thing, and then ending up being like, oh, this is not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Sure. I would say one of the worst, if we're getting into that territory as well. I don't have fond memories of The Gallows.
The Gallows sucks. Yeah.
The Blumhouse produced 8,000 it was a very small budget film that they did at the time.
I remember The Gallows being like kind of had potential, and they just in execution they just really dropped the ball.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I probably haven't watched that since it came out. Actually, honestly.
Yeah. No interest to return. Yeah.
Probably not. Well, you know what though? I say that it probably definitely will. A bad one for me. It's one of my. I hate this movie so much. It's found footage 3D.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the worst fucking, not just like found footage movies, but one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen. Mm-hmm. That shit is awful. It's actually was it the guy? He's like a horror blogger that wrote it. I can't. I think he blocked me.
That's how you know it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not. I was not a big fan of found footage 3D. I own it too. Can you believe that?
Stephen Gennaro?
No. Oh, he's not even credited as a writer in this?
Jeez.
He didn't even get a writing credit? No, there's the guy. I can't remember his name. He's a horror blogger, but he was one of the people. He's in the movie briefly, too. Okay. He's the guy that... Have you ever seen it?
No, I
okay. Well, these people are going out to film a found footage 3D movie. So they're going out to this old farmhouse, and this guy who he works for, he actually used to write for The Nerdist, I think. And he's going out to interview the cast and crew during the production, and he has a little bit part in it. but yeah, just not good. Not good. And one of the reasons why I bought it was because it had an audio commentary. It was in the Walmart $5 bin back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
And so I picked it up. I listened to the commentary, and within the first 10 minutes, they chastised themselves for the cast being all white. I'm not even shitting you. They're like, yeah, we could have done a lot better with this. I was like, whoa. Why? I guess it was because of the moment. It came out in 2016, so it was like, the beginning of the Trump era. People were very, tuned into things like that at the time.
Yeah, but if you got that kind of guilt, why even make the movie at that point?
Well, it's because they didn't think about that until they saw all of the social unrest that was going on, and they're like, "Oh, maybe we should address this. Should we address it? Should we address this?" Do you got another bad one?
One other one I have here, and I want to make sure it's the right one because this title's been used a few times. It's called Alien Abduction from 2014.
I've heard of this movie. I've never watched it though.
I want to say it was like aping on like Prometheus or whatever at the time, like doing one of those like kind of knockoff movies.
Like what do you call asylum movies?
Yeah, one of the asylum ones. But I remember like for a good portion of it, like the camera work is just god awful. Like you can watch this trailer and you can probably get like some of like the daylight footage.
Yeah.
But it is such a poorly put together alien movie, basically about like
a family that's out camping.
Yeah.
A vacationing family encounters an alien threat in this thriller based on the real life Brown Mountain Lights phenomenon in North Carolina. Ooh, close by. Go out and see some aliens. I just like, this is something that I do actually brush up against with these movies in particular. This subgenre is the modern cameras. For some reason, they make everything look fake.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like it doesn't feel real.
Even with a movie called Alien Abduction, you feel kind of alienated from it.
He's done it again. Another.
I'm here all week.
Another one that I kind of hate to say that it's bad, but it is Diary of the Dead.
Yeah.
Diary of the Dead is not good. I kind of respect George Romero being like kind of a huckster and being like, well, I want to make movies again. Like when they did Dawn, you know why there's was it Land of the Dead? Do you know why that exists? Because Dawn of the Dead. And then George Romero was like, I want to make another one. And they're like,
yeah.
Because Dawn of the Dead did really well. The Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead. And that's why he started making them again. And then it just became a brand again.
I want to put Pittsburgh back on film. That's how I want to roll.
Yeah, right. It's not as bad as Survival of the Dead. Like the last one he did is atrocious. So, and I'll never forget it too, because I was so excited to watch it. I was out in the Midwest. I was pipelining at the time. Didn't have a lot of free time to myself. So my time was precious. You're working like 13 hours a day, 2-3 hour commutes out into the middle of nowhere. So your time is precious. So I get this movie. I'm super excited to watch it. I pop it in. Immediately, I know this is not going to be good. Like almost immediately. It's so cheap. The actors are so fucking bad. But still, I held on. I held on because it's George Romero. Maybe it would all come together in the end. It does not.
Yeah.
And then I saw, and then they had like in the supplements, they had like a making of, and it was when Mitt Romney and Obama. It was like the 2012 election. It was coming up, or maybe no, they filmed it during the 2008 election. That's what they did. I don't remember who Obama was running against. John McCain.
Yeah.
And he said if John McCain won, he was going to move to Canada. I was like, go, George.
Which is what they all say.
You fucking belong there anyways with this Canadian type movies you're making now.
Yeah.
Trelling says, what about that Asian one where they're making a zombie movie and a real zombie outbreak happens?
I know what.
Is that film? Is it Film of the Dead?
One cut of the dead. Yeah.
One Cut of the Dead. That's right.
That's
I
really
forgot
good
about
one,
that
too.
one. I forgot
That's
about
a really
that
good one. Really solid. And I don't like seeing. I think that got remade recently, and they want to remake it again for American audiences. And I'm just like, no, leave it alone. Yeah, come on.
They will. Yeah, the big gimmick with this one is that it's like supposed to be like one continuous shot.
Yeah.
That's right. But I don't think it's actually. But don't they reveal at the end that there are no zombies?
Well, no. So the whole point is that they're filming a TV special.
Yeah.
Without any cuts. And it's all about like the craft, the making of doing it. Yeah.
Well, because as an audience though, you're meant to believe at some point that they're real zombies. But then at the end of the movie, don't they reveal that like we did it?
They reveal
because it's a live broadcast, isn't it? Isn't it a live show?
It's a live broadcast. You see all that. That's the first portion, and then it's all about like the making of the actual live broadcast.
Yeah,
and the family and those characters, and like the father-daughter relationship.
You know, I think I've only watched the one. I think I watched it when it was on The Last Drive-In.
Yeah, that's how I discovered it too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know, Shudder, does something okay every once in a while. they'll show you something.
Once in a while, Joe Bob will, he's got you in the clear. Yeah.
It's those fucking Shudder programmers. My God, they will buy anything.
Yeah.
They're not as bad as Screambox though. Holy shit. You want to see some real bottom barrel, like made for $5 horror movies? Go check out Screambox. It's the Canadian equivalent of Shudder. And I had a subscription to it for like 6 months because it's very cheap. It was like $15 for 6 months. And I wanted to watch the RoboCop documentary, the RoboDoc. It premiered on Screambox. So I got it for 6 months for that. And I watched a few movies from there. I don't know. I'm very out of line and out of step with like the common everyday horror fan now. Like it used to be my thing. I felt like I had a kinship there, and now I feel completely ostracized from it.
Dude, I can't identify what like the average horror fan is now compared to the normie Marvel fan anymore. It's become so.
Well, people just have really started to like bad things.
Yeah.
Like shit that's just not good. Trummick says, once in a while, Joe Bob shows you something he actually wants to show you. This is very true. Oh, dude, you can totally tell when Joe Bob likes a movie. And when he's like, Shutters wants me to play this one,
Yeah.
That's when you're going to get like a 3-hour. It's going to take 2.5 hours to get through a 90-minute movie when he likes it, because he's got to talk about the history and the production. Maybe he brings an actor on or a director or somebody.
Yeah, I love the disingenuous nature of like, oh yeah, I gotta sponsor this AMC Walking Dead product for.
Oh
for
my
the
God,
show.
that's right. Yeah. See, I haven't watched The Last Drive-In in a while. I haven't had Shudder in a while. I should go back and check some of them out. Maybe I'll get it for a month or something. We still talking about bad ones? I got another bad one. I know you've seen this one.
Go for it. Yeah,
it's probably on your list. I hope it is, Jeremy. Because you're about to make a found footage movie. Deadstream. Speaking of Shudder.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Speaking of Shudder.
Yeah.
Deadstream. One of the most fucking obnoxious movies I've ever goddamn seen.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. If to give any credit to the lead actor, what is his name? Joseph Winter. He does successfully, in some ways, recreate annoying IRL streamers. Because they're all like this.
Yeah.
Hyper eccentric to a fault. Annoying. Precious.
That was part of the intent, I think, with the making of the movie. Like they wanted him to be like this Mr. Beast kind of character, and they pull it off, but that doesn't make the movie good,
No, it doesn't. No, I was really because I remember when it came out, everybody was like raving about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh my God, good! It was so good." And also, because like everything has to be like political. Like everybody, all the horror community kind of embraced this movie because it's making fun of people on the internet that they don't like. which is this type of guy. Like this misogynistic Coomer YouTuber guy. And I think that's why they kind of embraced it in the way that they did. I don't think it really has much to do with the actual movie. I don't know. I really bounced off of it pretty hard.
Yeah.
I didn't find it particularly funny. I didn't find it particularly scary. I mean, I think there's maybe a few decent moments. Maybe. If I'd be generous, maybe. Sure. I'm sure there's a sequence in there that works. Everybody was calling it, it's like the found footage Evil Dead 2.
The only like relatable aspects that people can really enjoy or take from that film in particular is like, for me at least, like, he's got like 4 different like strapped GoPros in different like sections or like on his vest or whatever, and like I can kind of relate to that and enjoy some of the humor in that, but at the end of the day, it's still not like pulling it off,
I didn't think it did either. Yeah. And I mean, I think we might be outliers with that opinion. I don't know what like the more serious cineasts out there think of Deadstream, but I was not taken with it. I was not taken with it. It kind of had the same experience I have with a lot of Shudder original movies, where you're like, everybody's saying how great it is, and then you watch it and you're like, that was not good. Like, what are you talking about? You fucking horror people need to raise their fucking standards. Just a smidge,
they really
please.
need to. Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah.
Trumping says they need Johnny Somali being killed by Yakuza guys as a sequel. Then it's at least satisfying. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and drop a couple too. Like we brought up these examples before, I think, on like previous podcasts, but I would say The Last Broadcast is a classic example.
List. Yeah, it was like my number 5.
Yeah. Again, one of these, like, you have like the solid topic, the Jersey Devil, but you tell it in like such a very deep, authentic way, which at the time, again, like this is around Blair Witch,
Well, it actually was made before Blair Witch, but doesn't get released until after. Yeah.
Right.
Actually, it only probably got released because of the success of Blair Witch. That was the case for a lot of these movies. I'm also a very big fan of this movie. And I didn't think that I was. When we recorded that Blair Witch episode, I think I kind of dogged on it a little bit because the ending is kind of bad. Like the last moments of them, like the twist is kind of like, okay, like, okay, sure.
But even that,
but it still works though.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, even then, like, even though I'm not like a big fan of the ending, I can't really name many examples that would even like go for something like that. Like it's kind of in a weird way, it's a little ballsy to just kind of like go all
It's
out.
much more. It's in line with like Lake Mungo or the Poughkeepsie Tapes. The type of style of movie that it is, because it's like a documentary. Or like a special broadcast that they're making. But the thing that I think works the best though is that, surprisingly enough, like the actors all feel very authentic. I love the style and the texture of the movie. It's just got a very authentic vibe to it. Trembling says, I need a sequel to The Last Broadcast with that black father and son duo we watched badly. Oh my God. Yeah, actually, there was a nightcap. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that one.
I missed that one, I think.
Okay, well, it's on YouTube if you ever get curious about it. I clipped it out. There's these 2 guys that were like into Jersey Devil stuff. I was doing an episode about the Pine Barrens, and these guys that just found themselves like hooked into like the haunter community, like people that would come to New Jersey to look for the Jersey Devil, or like go out in the woods and film all night and stuff like that. And we watched them. It was like a father and son on a random video that I found. And then I picked another, what I thought was completely random video, and they showed up in that video too as like the guides. I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
This is crazy. But yes, Trembling. Definitely. I totally support this. Maybe we should do it. That'll be my next project.
Make it happen. And then we've also brought this up too, but I guess both movies, The Creep.
That's on my list. Yeah, it made my honorable mentions, but now that I'm thinking about it, I actually probably would have put them as a duo.
Yeah,
in a spot, maybe like number 4.
Right.
I like those movies more the more I watch them.
Oh yeah, yeah, and again, capture that relatable quality too of like, at least the first one. Like, oh, I wanted, I'm like scrolling through Craigslist. I want to get a job and just like,
Yeah, I
record
gotcha.
something. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's because what I think
Yeah.
the part of that was when they first started making the movie, this is a very Duplass brothers thing.
Sure.
They were making a different movie.
Yeah.
They were making a dark comedy, which I think Creep is still maintains its dark comedy nature, but it was more about just a guy who lost his family, not a serial killer.
Yeah.
And that's actually the first like third of the movie is that, or maybe even half the movie.
Mhm.
And then they kind of shifted gears and decided to do something a little different. And I think it is incredibly effective. It's Mark Duplass's best performance.
Oh, absolutely.
He's so good in these both of the movies. And I would even say it's one of the rare occasions where maybe Creep 2 might have the slight edge. But it can't really it can't really take over Creep 2 because it requires Creep 1.
Yeah.
Like you have to have Creep 1 to get to Creep 2.
You gotta watch
Creep
them
2 is
both.
is an excellent sequel, and I am dying for the third one. Apparently they are going to do a third one.
Okay.
And I'd be super stoked for that, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I just love that character. He's so entertaining. Trembling says in the chat, Ghostwatch is a good British fake broadcast paranormal movie, but gets too over the top at the end. Yeah, Ghostwatch is okay.
That was on my honorable mentions list as well. And that one actually feeds into was it with what came out recently, Late Night with the Devil? Like I would have rather have watched a Ghostwatch talk show than something like that.
Hey, if they had just stuck to the conceit with Last Night with the Devil, if they had just stuck to the conceit, just show us the broadcast.
Yes.
Stop cheating. It was so aggravating.
Mm-hmm.
And also, even during the broadcast, they do shots that would never be in a 70s late night talk show. You're like, why? Well, you guys don't need to do this. Like, it's you're like doing so many things like kind of right.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, it was very similar to me watching Rebel Moon. It's like, I know what you're doing. I see what you're trying to do. And I'm watching you fail. And it's a frustrating experience for me. I even went to the theater to see that fucking movie. I didn't even wait for Shudder.
Yeah.
I was really bored. I went on the value night where it's $5 movie tickets. I was going to go the night before, and they recently raised ticket prices, and it was going to be almost $20 for me to go see it. I was like, I am not paying $20 to go see a fucking Shudder movie. I'll die before that happens. So I waited until it was a $5 night. He also says WNUF Halloween is a decent movie in that subgenre of found footage too. Yeah, that's on my list.
Yep.
Well, not on my top list, but it gets an honorable mention for sure. That one I just remember it. It's been a few years since I've watched it, but I remember the commercials being just too much. Like there's just too many commercial breaks, so that they could, because they were kind of having fun with the nostalgic aspect of it and recreating a time period, and so I understand why they were so excited to do that stuff. And I think it all works. It's just like sometimes I felt like, can we just watch the broadcast? Which I understand. Like, listen, I get it. I get that it's there for a reason. I guess it's there to break stuff up, hide things, not have to show things, because you can just cut back to the reaction. So, it's a very clever movie. It's fun. I wish I had bought it.
Mm-hmm.
The director, they had it. Because I think, can you get this actually? Can you even just get it on Amazon? You couldn't for a long time. Because the first time I watched it, I had to get a bootleg of it.
I think so.
You might be able to now.
Yeah. Shaun, I'm just laughing at the fact that you show up to like the movie theater with your Misery T-shirt, like, oh, we are not selling a ticket to this heathen. How dare he go see Late Night with the Devil?
Oh, dude, yeah, I got this today. I got this in the mail today. There's a great, just a little plug. They're not, giving me any money or anything, but if you look behind me, there's a tote bag. They sent me a tote bag, probably because I've bought like 3 rounds of shirts from them.
Nice.
But it's called Cult of Cult, and they make the coolest shirts. You've probably seen this. My Deep Red shirt, my Suspiria shirt.
Yeah.
That's where I got those from that place. And they just make kind of cool, unique movie merchandise, essentially. And they do this thing where they have what they call whoopsie daisies, because it's all hand screen pressed shirts. They do it all by hand. And which is so weird because I know exactly what it is. I actually worked in a t-shirt printing factory for a brief period of time. So I know exactly how they make it, and it's all very high quality stuff, but their whoopsie daisies are like, oh, something's like misaligned. Oh, there's a fleck of paint on the shoulder. I'm like, I don't care about that. Go ahead. Yeah. And they're way cheaper. You can get their shirts for $10 a piece. If you get the whoopsie daisy ones. The only caveat is that you don't get to choose what you get. They just send you a random shirt from the pile. I have not gotten any duplicates yet. So I may have to go one more time. There's still there's other shirts I want.
Wait and see. Yeah.
I want to try it because most of the time the shirts are like $30 a piece normally.
Yeah.
So if I can get 3 for $30, buddy, I'm in heaven. Trembling says, did they release it on VHS like they did House of the Devil? Yeah, they did. WNUF. And originally, I think it was only released on, if I'm not mistaken, on video cassettes. That's probably why I had to get a bootleg of it at the time. And no, it's not. You cannot. Well, you can get it from Amazon, but you get it used for $50 to get the Blu-ray. He was selling it on his website a couple years ago, and I don't think that they have any proper distribution of it, which is kind of weird. I'm surprised something like Shudder or something like that, or because they use like RJE Media to release their movies.
Yeah.
Because I own actually a few of them. Doesn't mean they're good. I own a lot of things, guys.
Sure.
Another one was Afflicted. Have you ever seen Afflicted?
Yes.
The one, it's like the guys, they're making a travelogue.
Right.
And one of them basically turns into a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It makes kind of good use of GoPro cameras. You got to suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Yeah,
for some of the shots, but
this was one of those like pre-college, horror films I watched, just to kind of like get into that like rhythm. And I'll say like also, to like my early freshman college days, like we were all about found footage. We wanted to like expand and do more with that.
I think all young filmmakers of an age are, because it feels like you can do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I had a project. The first thing I ever wanted to do, it never ended up happening, unfortunately, because my friends are not the most reliable people in the world. It was a faux documentary. But it was a comedy. It was a comedy though. It's called Dance Commander. It was about an old disco dancer that was like coming back into the fray for like one last time. Mm-hmm. Like back in the day, like he used to win all the disco dancing competitions at the clubs. And they kind of discontinued them when disco died, and then he kind of lost himself and just became a loser. And then they're doing like a grand reopening of the club that he used to go to, and they're going to bring back the disco dancing competition. So he feels like it's a way to redeem himself for his loser life.
Right.
Unfortunately, it never happened. Maybe someday it will. Who knows? But it was called Dance Commander. It was based on the Electric Six song Dance Commander. Well, that's what I was using for that was the inspiration for it.
Hey,
unfortunately, it never happened.
It can still get made, and
it would actually be more appropriate if I made it now than when I was 19. Because I was 19, I was fully prepared. I went and bought all the costumes. I was gonna wear old, gray my hair and do all that stuff.
Right.
Trump says Jeepers Creepers on an orange Nickelodeon VHS to double down on the perv. Yeah, what's that guy's name? The director of that?
Oh, Victor Salvo.
Victor Salvo. That's right. Yeah. What a weird situation that is. Like, can you imagine, Jeremy? A person gets arrested for not only molesting and raping a child, but filming it and distributing it, the tapes of that, to his child molester friends. It goes to jail for like 2 years and then gets out of jail and gets hired by Disney to make powder. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, meanwhile, we're talking about like Weinstein and 16 years of prison, things like that. And like, yeah,
Oh, Victor Salva, he's such a creep. He's such a creep, dude. And he had like a big profile in like the LA Times a few years ago, where he's basically almost like makes the argument that he's like a virtuous pedophile. He's like, I served my time. I should be able to live my life. I'm like, no, well, dude, you don't need to make movies. Go work at a gas station. Like you don't need to work. Like you don't. This is a privilege. Like you know, a few thousand people in the history of humanity have made a movie. Like you don't get to keep making them if you're a fucking pedophile. Well, that's not true. It's not in Hollywood anyways.
Yeah.
Trembling says, oh, Afflicted is the one I was trying to think of about the vampire. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, Afflicted's pretty good. It's pretty good. I watched it a couple years ago for the first time. And while like I don't think it like kind of adheres to the rules of the genre very well, it is an entertaining movie. Oh, you know what we didn't mention at all? We would be remiss if we didn't mention this. Cannibal Holocaust.
Well, that was my number 2 on my list.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah. So, Roger Deodato's Cannibal Holocaust, in its various forms, has been like such a huge influence, I think, on just like a lot of my own filmmaking too. Like, I think there's just something so cool and raw and apparently just all the lawsuits as well, like over the movie, like
I love it.
He fought. It's great, you know.
I love that they actually had to go to court and prove that the actors were alive.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which I don't know, was that, I can't remember, I cannot recall. I'm a little hazy on my Cannibal Holocaust lore, but was that a publicity stunt or was that for real?
That was for real.
That was okay.
As far
That's
as I
what
know.
I thought. Yeah.
Now, so, and this is the thing, you know, which I get into squabbles with people, whether it's like animal rights activists or things like of that nature. Okay.
Turtle.
Yeah. Do you hack a turtle to death? Do you shoot a monkey? Do you kill spiders or whatever in your film? There is a limit, but you have to like also understand like the circumstances on like where your actors are and what they're doing, and you know, I'm just I hate the.
You think they should get a pass for the turtle death? It's been.
I don't care.
It's been
really.
Banned. It's like banned. I think it's still banned in countries because of that scene.
Yeah, it still is. Yeah. I don't condone it, but I don't also say like, you know.
Are you trying to say that you would kill a turtle for cinema? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
are you like a real Adrian Tufo?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah,
because you know it's got to be real, dude.
Yeah,
this is cinema. This is life.
This is how it goes.
I mean, Cannibal Holocaust is an incredibly effective movie. Like it is. It really taps into that like xenophobia that's sleeping inside of all of us.
Yep.
You know, like. Let me see here. Trembling says, does Cannibal Ferox use the documentary crew angle too? I can't remember, but I do remember they went more extreme with that one. I don't think I've ever seen Cannibal Ferox. So.
That one's more gorier, but they don't. It's pretty much like straightforward film.
Yeah, it's a straight movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, the creation of a real world, like it really does feel tangible. The actors really feel like real. It really does feel like an authentic experience. And some of the effects that they did, like the people like impaled on the poles and stuff, like it works incredibly well. Like that shit is so fucking disturbing. It's such a disturbing fucking movie. I should revisit it. I haven't watched it in probably like 10 years.
It was so funny when Joe Bob revisited it for his second season, and this is during COVID, of The Last Drive-In, and people who were already fans were not taking a good liking to some of the content of it, like the second round, or they might have like forgotten like what Cannibal Holocaust was all about, and so they were like, "Oh, this is like."
Well, because it's one of those movies I think a lot of people that are younger have seen in like 100 Scariest Moment compilations.
Yeah.
And they maybe have not actually seen the movie. Like they know of the movie. They know like kind of scandal surrounding it, but they've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I do remember that. Actually, I remember when I don't think I watched it, but I remember just people complain. It was another thing for people to complain about Joe Bob about.
Yeah.
You know. Trumbuck says, Jeremy goes to the Oscars in a suit made completely from hummingbird feathers. to accept his Oscar for his found footage movie.
Hey.
Available probably before Mass State Lottery.
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
Just saying, you can't put out trailers forever, Jay. What I do want to talk about is Dashcam. Have you seen Dashcam?
Yes.
Okay.
I watched it later after you had
I sung its praises.
Sung its praises, gave it like that spotlight. I do like it though a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Most people most people I see online talk about it despise it, and they despise it because of the main actress, which is Annie Hardy.
Yeah.
And Annie Hardy is not actually an actress. She's kind of like a wild and crazy musician online person.
Yeah.
She got famous for doing some of the stuff she does in the movie, which is like drive around live making up raps. That's kind of like her thing. And she does it in the movie too. She plays herself.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun movie, dude.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like, I don't know if it follows the rules of the genre very well, but it was fun.
In terms of just like letting a character or a person being themselves a little bit, it remind me a lot of like Be My Cat in some ways, where it's just like just let somebody let loose, and
because she's wild in this, but that's how she is, dude. Have you ever? I went and sought her out after I saw the movie, and that's her.
Yeah,
she is that person. She's crazy. Probably has borderline personality disorder.
And how wild too. Like, this comes from the same guy, like, what's his name, Rob Savage?
Yeah, he did Host.
He did Host, which I did not like. I was like, it was unpopular for me to say that I did not like that movie at the time.
I think it was just me and you that didn't like it.
Yeah, but then he comes out with this, and it's like, finally some guy like shows up with a fun.
Yeah, it felt like almost like Unshackled.
Yeah,
because the movie's so wild. And then he actually got a chance to make a big boy movie. He did The Boogeyman last year.
Yeah,
which I watched not that long ago, and I don't remember it like at all. I remember it was like okay. It was okay.
I heard it was same. Okay.
But Dashcam, dude, it's a special movie. I don't know. If I were to, I'm starting to think about it. Maybe I would put this on my top 5, just as a fuck you to everybody. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not like allergic to crazies. Maybe it's my years of like Nightcap. Maybe that's like prepares me to enjoy somebody like Annie Hardy.
Well, we're both operating right now in like a text Zoom StreamYard format here right now to just chat and be able to like do this. I can't understand wanting to watch like a whole an hour and a half film of like Zoom chats and things like that. Like I want to see like actual found footage captured like on.
I mean, it was for hosts, like I understand why they did it because it was COVID and they were trying to figure out a way to make a movie during COVID.
Yeah,
and so I can appreciate like the experiment of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few moments in the movie that I think work just fine. It has some fun with like filters and stuff like that to use this to reveal ghosts and whatnot. And I don't like. I mean, well, no, I didn't like it. But
it's not good.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like despise it. I didn't have anger about the movie. Sure. I was just like, yeah, it was fine. Like, and I watched it in it's an appropriate way. Like, I actually watched it on my laptop.
Yeah.
So it was even more into the spirit of it. I was all hosted up.
Yeah.
That afternoon. Trebling says Dashcam 2 starring King Cobra's girlfriend. Yes. Mm-hmm. King Cobra JFS. So do you know who that guy is? He's a known internet kook. But yeah, that would be very entertaining.
Okay. My final, I guess, like, nail in the coffin here for found footage, with the Hell House LLC movies making like their big reign right now, I guess.
Yeah, people like those movies, huh?
Yeah, and I don't get it. I didn't even like that fourth film.
Well, I thought the first one was like okay.
It was okay. Yeah. No, the first one's like actually Like
all
I
right.
see what they were attempting to do, and it's fine. I actually like the Houses October Built, which is also kind of a similar haunted house sort of like a series of films that I think you've done about 3 of them so far as I'm concerned. But that first one I thought was like absolutely solid and actually gets you really into that mood. Or I don't know. I love going to King's Dominion every once in a while and just being like what solid trick do they have up their sleeve to scare me, you know?
There you go. Well, I don't think I've ever actually seen this now that I'm looking at it. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. The poster, terrible.
Yo, it's an awful poster. Yeah, that's definitely probably scared me away because it looks like something like a cheapy movie from Walmart. You know what I mean? Like those asylum movies, that kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
There is one decent asylum movie I've seen though. I saw one where they did their version of Paranormal Activity. I think it's called Paranormal Entity.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, I have seen this, and it's not. Okay, so weirdly, if I remember, I have not seen it in so many years, but I remember thinking it was not like terrible.
I saw it back when it came out too.
Yeah.
Prepare to see what is allegedly the actual footage of the supernatural events leading up to the 2008 murder of Samantha Finley. Released against the wishes of the authorities, this DVD proves that nothing human caused Samantha's death.
Yeah.
Look, Paranormal Investigations 3. I've never heard of that.
No. Yeah.
Paranormal Investigations Complete Edition, uncut. Paranormal Entity. I would actually like to revisit this.
Same.
I guarantee you it does not hold up as well as our memory is telling us. But you know what? Dashcam also had a 4.3. So what do these people know? They don't know nothing. They don't know anything, dude.
Look, they're not a found footage whiz like you and I. We know how
serious.
this goes.
Another one I have here is Exhibit A. Have you ever seen Exhibit A?
No.
Okay, so this is not like a horror movie. It's more of like a drama that kind of evolves into a thriller. And it's about a family. And it's about a dad who he's getting this new job. He's up for like this new big promotion. And he goes to the interview. It does not get the promotion. But he can't tell his family that. He can't like admit it to them. So, but he'd made all of these promises to them about like putting a pool in the backyard and all this stuff. And he was going to be able to facilitate that getting this new job and like buying a new house and all this stuff. And he goes just kind of out of anxiety and stress. And he keeps going. Starts getting crazier and crazier and crazier. But it's a movie, but it's actually pretty good. And it creates like a real world and the characters all feel real. This is footage from the movie. It's way more effective than I thought it would be because it's kind of like in a domestic drama for long portions of the film. He's got a dildo in his hand there. Yeah, so it's definitely worth checking out if people haven't seen it and you're into found footage and you want to see something a little different. I would definitely suggest watching that. I actually did I think I did like a 15 or 20 minute review a couple of years ago when I watched it. I saw this, Descent into Darkness, and Be My Cat like all around the same time.
Okay.
And there is another one that was really good. Oh, I cannot remember for the life of me. I cannot remember the name of it. It's about this guy that like lives in like this little kind of poor suburb in LA, and he starts like suspecting people in the neighborhood of being like murderers, and he goes out to or somebody goes missing or something like that in his neighborhood, so he goes out to try to like figure out what is going on, and then it just kind of opens like an onion, and you're never sure if he's really finding things or if he's just going crazier. For the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it. But if I think of it, I will leave it in the comments at a later date.
Okay.
Because it's really good. It's really good. I wish I could remember the name of it. Another one is called The Smiley Face Killers. Have you ever seen that one?
That's also on my list. I've not seen it, but it's one of those like pending. Like I gotta watch.
Well, it was a weird movie because I found it on YouTube. It's still on YouTube. I think that's where they released it. It sells itself as a real documentary. And it's another one of those times where it's like it is actually pretty effective for long stretches.
Mm-hmm.
But then every once in a while, like there'll be like a line reading from somebody where it just kind of like breaks it all up, like just kind of like takes you out of it.
Yeah.
But I remember apparently it was kind of had a little bit of a scandal. People thought it was in bad taste because there really is actually a smiley face killer.
Oh shit.
And that is surrounds like a murder that really happened.
Yeah.
And people thought it was in poor taste. So I think that's why it never really got attention. It also is sitting at around 4.6. I remember it being okay though. The Sacrament. Have you ever seen The Sacrament?
The Sacrament's a great one.
Ty West.
Well, that was like a bunch of those guys, like all like reconvening after a couple years to do another horror movie that's like based on the Jonestown kind of
the Jonestown Massacre. Or, yeah, that's what it's called. There's also a band called that. That's why I stopped for a second. I was like, is that what it's called? That's pretty good. I think and because it successfully does it because it's a Vice documentary. Like that's what it presents itself as. Mm-hmm. So like kind of like the slick digital cameras kind of don't bother you because you're so accustomed to watching Vice documentaries, or at least I was at the time. Sure. So I thought it was pretty effective. I was kind of surprised how straightforward it was because we all know the story of Jonestown. I think there had actually been like a documentary that was released around the same time this movie came out. So like the story was very fresh in my mind. And I was kind of surprised at how like beat for beat it actually just kind of followed the events. Right. I expected it to, use it as inspiration and kind of do other things. I mean, I suppose that like you could say the big thing is that they're the guy that was the leader of the cult or whatever. Mm-hmm. He was pretty good.
Well, I was gonna say like it was one of those examples where I was scouting for, people that are these character actors that have been in other things, and knowing that he was the cashier in like No Country for Old Men.
That's right, Gene Jones.
Yeah, I was just like, oh shit, and then like that made me like also think like long term, like, oh yeah, if I'm gonna produce a feature or something in the future, like I want to think about other character actors that are not just like these faces that people know, you know,
like the guys that end up in bit parts, but are actually really good actors.
Exactly.
And being able to, give somebody like Gene Jones, like a role like this is pretty awesome. That's pretty cool of them. I was like, Joe Swanberg, AJ Bowen, Ty West just directed that movie.
Yep.
They're staples. They're staples. Well, they were. I don't think they're in X or Pearl. I'm not sure. Maybe they'll show up in Maxine.
Yeah.
Find out this summer, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think anything else based on this list.
I mean, there's tons. I mean, Digging Up the Marrow. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Digging Up the Marrow is also very good. That's another one that's a little different too.
Yeah.
What is it? Adam Green? Didn't he?
Adam Green.
Yeah. Yep. He also he plays himself.
And he had Richard Robert Wise.
Ray Wise.
Ray Wise.
Yeah, Ray Wise is in it. He's like kind of the subject of this fake documentary they're making.
Yep.
It's super intriguing. It's about this park where there's a hole and apparently it's like a portal to another world. Monsters crawl out of it.
It's so much fun.
It is. It's a very fun movie, and Ray Wise, as he always is very good. Like he's just really good. Nobody plays like an anxious, neurotic nut like Ray Wise.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not even a big fan of Adam Green, honestly. I don't really like the Hatchet movies.
Yeah, he keeps playing up like those later Hatchet sequels, like we stepped it up. I'm like, no, these movies suck, and like, just come on, dude.
I appreciate them on kind of a meta level because Adam Green is basically from the same place I am. Like he grew up around the same area, and in the movies, he always has like very specifically New England, Massachusetts, like T-shirts, paraphernalia. Mm. So I always get a kick out of that. Like at the first Hatchet, there's a character who's wearing a Newberry Comics T-shirt, which Newberry Comics is like just a Massachusetts thing.
Yeah,
I don't even know. I don't think there's very many stores actually. There might only be like 2 or 3 of them. Back when I was a kid, I only knew of 2 of them. But yeah, that's really good. If you guys haven't seen that, like it's totally worth checking out.
Yeah,
100% worth checking out. The Den. Have you ever seen The Den?
Oh, it's been years.
Kind of like a dark
Yeah,
web,
I
unfriended
remember.
dark web
Yep.
kind of vibe. Kind of similar to Megan is Missing.
Yeah.
Which is not great, but it's really ends pretty intensely.
Yeah. There's also there's two of those missing movies that have been trending lately. as
Well, they did one a couple years ago
Yeah.
that was just called Missing, which was like one of these like all on a laptop,
Yeah.
all through phones, social media stuff. It was
Yep.
is it John Cho? Is that the actor's name?
Yeah.
That's like the lead actor of that movie. It was like
searching and then missing. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Searching, and then the sequel was Missing with that young girl. I can't remember her name. She was from Akilah and the Bee, I think.
Yeah.
Tremlick says, I half like the Hatchet movies. Mainly, I just want Jason movies to be that over-the-top violent. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I think maybe that's kind of why I don't like them, is because they're are obviously trying very hard to be those things and like kind of almost be like a parody in some ways, but not. Like it's like, you know, it's obviously Adam Green wanted to create a slasher villain in that vein, and he's pulling from a lot of those things. And I appreciate it. I can appreciate that on that level, but it makes it a little boring to watch. A little like kind of unremarkable. I think if I had watched those when they came out, maybe I would have liked them more. But I saw them for the first time like 3 years ago. So I did kind of bounce off of them a little bit. Like I didn't think they were awful. Just not really. And I like slashers just fine, but they just really weren't my cup of tea.
Sure.
Because I like the Friday the 13th movies. I like shit like that. But Open Windows. You ever see Open Windows?
That one I missed. Yeah.
Sasha Grey and what's his name? Also made by a guy who did a kind of a low budget sci-fi movie that was pretty good called Time Crimes. Nacho Vigalondo.
Wait, I remember the poster of this.
Yeah, you might have seen it.
Yeah.
Sasha Grey is not a good actress.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. It's an all right movie. It's like entertaining. What's his name? Elijah Wood. You know, he's fine. He was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's... Yeah, Nick is her biggest fan. I can't remember if she plays a porn star in this or not. A jilted fan soon finds himself pulled into a deadly game of cat and mouse after he accepts the opportunity to spy on his favorite actress via laptop. Oh, she's just an actress. That's right. Man. Yeah, I could buy Elijah Wood being a simp.
Yeah.
I'd buy that. It seems like in his wheelhouse.
Because this is much after he does the remake of
Maniac.
Maniac, yeah.
Which is not a found footage. I guess it's a POV movie.
Yeah.
But actually, I remember the remake of Maniac not being awful.
No. I have a soft spot for that movie as well, but I much prefer the original. You know,
yeah, of course. Yeah. But you know,
it goes for some cool stuff. Like at least the effects are practical.
Yeah.
The remake. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've run through all of the things that I had off the noggin there. I'm sure there's plenty we have not mentioned or forgot. I'm sure there's some scandals brewing in my future.
Yeah, the only other thing I have is the VHS movies. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, what do you think of those movies? How do you feel about those ones?
I like a lot of like specific ones within those first two, but as a whole, I've never been a fan of this whole thing. Like we're gonna.
I think it's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea, but like they find this like cheap around. I don't know, sort of method where they want to film this stuff like digitally as much as possible, and then degrade it to be
and
like
use their editing software to create the look. Yeah,
it's
well,
just
because they're made for like fucking $5. That's why. I mean,
yeah, but when it's so cheap and easy to just film the stuff on VHS, like I've done this myself. Like I don't like how to tell these people.
Well, it's because they don't want to work with VHS. Like it's cumbersome. It'll be a pain in the ass. Like you have no controls. You know, for the things that you're going to have control if you shoot it digitally. Mm-hmm. But like, so I get it, but I agree with you in terms of like the texture of them. it just makes it feel corny in a weird way. I remember the last one that came out, there was a couple okay segments.
Yeah.
But they have the same problem all short fiction has, is that they generally don't end. They don't have endings.
Oh,
they kind of just abruptly end. You know, that's
right.
That's generally how they go. But that's not uncommon for those kinds of stories, honestly. Even if you were to read them like short fiction, that happens all the time.
That's a perfect note. I'm glad you brought that up, by the way. That's a perfect note I have about modern found footage films. They don't know how to end. They don't. They never go into anything that's like subtle or simple or would make sense for the storyline. It always has to be this like abrupt crash or something. Yeah,
they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
You know, actually, one that we didn't talk about, I meant to, was the Last Exorcist, because you brought up the abrupt ending, so it made me think of it.
Yeah.
The Last Exorcist is the guy who did that movie about the suicide guy.
Yeah.
That's actually not bad. I actually kind of like The Last Exorcist, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the lead actor, the guy who plays the fake exorcist guy, the preacher, he is excellent in that movie, and he kind of holds the whole thing together. And I think the girl is pretty okay too. She's pretty all right. Although then when they made the sequel and they made it into a regular movie, completely blew that chick's wad. Poor lady. She thought she was onto something. Like, this is the thing that's going to make my career. The Last Exorcist actually did pretty well.
Yeah.
It was a pretty popular movie. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I saw it when it came out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it like hit Netflix like pretty quick when it came out. Yeah.
I've revisited it a few times over the years, and it holds up very well. Like, I think it's you know, it's one of those movies that, does it follow the rules very well? No, probably not. But
probably not.
It's got enough fun stuff in it, spook house stuff that's kind of clever at times. And like I said, that lead actor it's a great performance. It's a great performance. Yeah. Found footage movies, everybody. There's lots of them.
Well, I'll summarize, I guess, a little bit since we've already done a show on it. But the Blair Witch Project, I don't know where this like lies on our lists, on the rankings, or anything like that. But like,
I don't know. I don't. It's kind of hard.
What a lucky project. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, that it came out the way that it did, and it imposed itself in the way that it did to everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because that movie's made in post. Like, it's because I would love to see some of the raw footage from that. Like, I would love to see just like everything they taped.
Sure.
Because you know that they went way too far. In fact, I think they even talked about that. I want to say in the audio commentary, like the actors were just too like histrionic, constantly doing that thing where they're just constantly like, screaming at each other, which you get a little taste of in the movie. Like they peppered it in there in the just the right amount. But you could see something like that becoming grating, and it makes everything feel incoherent.
Yeah,
because you can't ever tell what's going on. And actually, you know, one of the bad movies that I didn't mention, the first time I've ever watched it, it very much had this problem. It's called Hate Crime. Have you ever heard of this or seen this movie?
Yeah, that one.
I stumbled across it because to get started, I rewatched the found footage phenomenon. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. That one definitely stumbled upon my watch list at some point.
Hate crimes. So the conceit is the Jewish family that just arrived in a new neighborhood are recording their youngest son's birthday celebrations on video when their home is suddenly invaded by a bunch of crystal meth crazed neo-Nazi lunatics.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right. I was like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Sounds like a fun time for the family.
No, it was atrocious. It was just a bad movie. The 4.2 rating here on IMDb is well deserved in this case. It's just a kind of a bad movie, artless. It's the guy claims that he made it as like a PSA essentially to like fight against bigotry. And it just was not good. It wasn't good. I didn't like hate the look of the movie, but they just they do a lot of half measures in this movie, so you never really kind of buy into everything. And the guys that are the neo-Nazis, the meth neo-Nazis, are not like great actors. And they're always wearing these masks, as you can see in the poster here, and you can't understand half of what they say. I mean, Tubi's closed captions just gives up at certain points. Like, I don't know what he said. You're on your own, Shaun. I was like, damn, it's 2 a.m. You got to help me out.
Yeah.
Trembling says, VHS Viral is irredeemable, but all the rest have at least 2 or 3 good segments each, in my opinion. I don't know if I ever watched VHS Viral. I might have just skipped it.
That was a hard one to get through, if I remember. But it was mostly just like, in terms of the title itself, like, you know, viral. Oh, I'm like online and everything. Like, your VHS, be a VHS based like film.
See, that's what gets you. Yeah. Like they'll never win you over because they don't shoot it in VHS.
No, of course.
You're just off.
Yeah. And I have no problem like riding that train.
You got to be that guy. Somebody's got to be that guy. Somebody's got to have fucking standards around here. God damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of all that. These were the ones that kind of I remembered off the dome. The one thing we didn't mention, I think this will be a good way to end because we were talking about the Shyamalans earlier. We kind of said that we would talk about this, The Visit. It's the last thing we'll talk about.
Right.
So what did you, I know you're a Shyamalan boy. You like Shyamalan. You're a fan. I'm a fan too. What did you think of The Visit? Did it make your list?
It was, it was fun. It definitely made my list, I think, that year when it came out. It's tough because like I watched it with a group of college friends who were not the most well versed on like M. Night stuff, like in the past few years, who went in thinking like, oh yeah, this is great, this is gonna be enjoyable. Me knowing like, oh yeah, M. Night, he's got to prove his worth.
Well, this was his big he was coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
After like a string of kind of from Lady in the Water all the way to After Earth, people were kind of off the Shyamalan train.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do something back to basics, I think. I remember he actually went out and tried to sell the movie. Like he went out to like Comic-Con panels, like Nerd HQ. Like Zachary Levi's like interviewing him about The Visit.
Yeah. I'm still like, I find it remarkable how this guy can like find like the darkest stories to tell sometimes. Like, I mean, right down to like their whole grandparents are basically dead. They're just like in the basement.
Yeah.
And they discover them. And then still find some comedy and ways to work around that. M. Night, it's like a weird, like, you have to not be like fully in sync with what's going on.
What do you mean? To be what? To be surprised by it?
Well, no, to capture this kind of like.
His weird way of making movies.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's like the way he makes movies. It's just like the dialogue. Like the way he writes dialogue is just very particular to him. Kind of like in the same way that Tarantino does in some respect, right?
Sure.
Like it's very identifiable, like the cadence and the way that he gets actors to perform his dialogue. I will say I like this movie. I thought the kids were pretty good. I know a lot of kids find the little boy annoying. He was fine. I didn't think he was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. Yeah, a little white kid being a little rapper is like annoying. Definitely a Shyamalan thing. What are the kids into?
Yeah, what are they doing?
But he somebody puts a shitty diaper on his face and he takes it like a champ.
And stuff like that, I love. Yeah, like absolutely.
I love watching kids get smeared with human shit.
Yeah, you got to tear right into your face. Yeah.
Oh, it was such a abrasively shocking moment.
Yeah.
But do you have any sense of like what you thought might have been the thing before you saw the movie? Did you think about like what the bait and switch would be?
Yeah, like I guess I went in a little bit more earnest, like thinking, all right, yeah, our grandparents are a little bit more distant from us. They're doing their thing. We haven't seen them in forever, but hopefully they're still okay. They're in good.
No, but what did you think? Did you like, because you were obviously watched Shyamalan movies before this?
Yeah.
Were you anticipating the twist? Like, because what the twist is like these are two old people with fucking dementia.
I will say, watching the movie, I was not anticipating that twist itself.
No, me neither. I thought it would be something supernatural.
Yeah.
I did.
And it played it pretty straight.
No, and he does it, but that's, that was his subversion here, is because he knows that you're waiting for him to do something like kind of crazy or supernatural. That's kind of what he had been doing up until that point, ignoring Last Airbender and After Earth.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how his movies work, right? So you're kind of anticipating something like supernatural or crazy. I guess it was like this and The Village. Like, those were the two movies he did where it's like, no, the reveal is actually, no, this is actually just something very almost mundane, relatively speaking.
Right. The Village was another example, like, where it was just marketed terrible. Like,
I like The Village.
I like The Village too. Yeah. It's just like they didn't know how to actually make that applicable to the modern normie audience.
Well, I think it did okay, but it was the first time I remember people not like coming out being like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
what a twist! Like, that's crazy! What a great movie!" It's the first, because that was what came after Signs, I think, and Signs was kind of almost like his prestige film in some kind of way. That's like him going for like the Oscar. It's like kind of like whimsical, and it's almost got like an Amblin-esque vibe to it. Because of the
Spielberg.
Well, because of the family and the aliens and the farm, like it all kind of falls into place. The score did Philip Glass score that movie? I think.
No, it was what's his name? Something Howard. David Robert Howard.
I will.
Please
look.
correct me if I'm.
Come on, internet! You're embarrassing us. Music: James Newton Howard.
James Newton Howard. Yep.
Yeah. James Newton Howard. Other films: King Kong, The Dark Knight, I Am Legend, Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yep.
He's now doing The Fall Guy. He did the last Hunger Games movie. This guy works. Oh, he did the score for Red Sparrow. My goodness. Okay. Wow. Sure. But yeah, that was a fun conversation. What are we doing next time? We're doing Mad Max Fury Road, where Prophet will be joining us in anticipation of George Miller's new film, Furiosa. We're going to be covering Mad Max Fury Road. It should be fun. I think we all like that movie to one degree or another. So it's going to be probably very complimentary to the movie, I imagine. Although maybe we'll dive in. I'll get real fucking critical. Start talking about the feminist subtext of the film.
I was gonna joke like that's like probably the part where I'm gonna just jump right to, because I've already been Mad Maxed out on my own show on the Flea Pit After Dark.
Well, then you're ready. Then you're ready for it. You're ready for this conversation, Jeremy. You are primed.
Yeah.
Well, Prophet and I did a Ghost of the Movies way back. We did one on the original Mad Max. But then we end up, if you talk about one Mad Max movie, you kind of end up talking about all of them.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of comparing and contrasting and kind of thinking about where the story was and where it went and the different types of movies that they are. It's so funny though with Mad Max Fury Road. The subtext is like it has a feminist subtext, but it's in the subtext. I mean, it's obvious, but it's in the subtext. And now with Furiosa, it's such a modern movie moment. They're like, fuck subtext. We're just going to make a movie where that's what it's about. And you're like, okay, great.
They went the Garth Marenghi
yes, the Garth Marenghi route. Yeah, I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why it has to be this way. I don't know why George Miller, you're almost dead. Why did you make Furiosa? Why didn't you just make another fucking Mad Max movie? Yeah. Do you think Mad Max, another Mad Max with Tom Hardy, after the years between Fury Road coming out and now, it has gained such popularity? It's like it's not a cult movie. It's like a mainstream popular movie that wouldn't have put butts in seats. Like I just don't believe it. I think it would have. Or maybe George should have done what I wanted to do, okay? Get Mel Gibson back. Do fucking the Logan of Mad Max movies. Just do old man Mad Max at the end of the world. Let's do it. Come on, George.
Give
Dude,
give
he's
Mel Gibson
old.
his paycheck. You know,
He needs Mel Gibson doesn't need that paycheck, dog. What are you talking about? How dare you? Isn't he? How old is George Miller? When were you born, George?
80s. He's got to be 80s.
He's
now.
in his late 70s because that's was the thing with the Fury Road. Everybody's like, whoa, like the 70-some-odd-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Born in 1945. He's 79.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I misjudged. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking, you know what? What's his name? Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott's still making fucking movies. He's still out there making goddamn Napoleon, dude. Trembling says Furiosa 2, Pig in the City. That's the cool thing about George Miller, I'll say, as a filmmaker, he rarely repeats himself. He has a very eclectic filmography. He makes nothing but adult things, and then he's like, oh, I'm going to make like Happy Feet and Andre. And I like that he's like a real person in that respect. He's like, oh, I have kids now. Like I'm going to go make some kids movies. What of it? Robert Rodriguez had a very similar trajectory in a weird way. Except when Robert Rodriguez does one for him, they're not good anymore.
Yeah.
Do you see Hypnotic? The one with what's his name?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, and I didn't care for
Such a
it.
cool concept. It was a
Yeah.
cool idea, doing some kind of weird scanners thing. And it's just a bad movie, though. It's unfortunate. But yeah. So we'll be back doing that. Next Thursday, I will be continuing my journey through Neil Breen movies. We're going to be watching Twisted Pair and Cade, which are apparently they're connected movies. I mean, all of his movies are connected. They're all part of the same universe. I watched one of them. Was it Pass Through? Was the one from 2016? He finds in a cave the jean shirt with all the medals on it. It's in that movie. It's like it's all coming together. Oh, you didn't see that? You didn't watch that one. I'm sorry.
I was
sorry.
gonna say,
Sorry,
like,
loser. Double down. He has the jean. He has a jean shirt with all of these medals on it. And then I just so happened because we had talked about it. I'll do one old one newer one, and I didn't even realize they were connected. It's just the magic of Neil Breen, you know. So I got to get through 3 more. So I got to do Twisted Pair, Cade, and then I think there's one from 2009 called I Am Here Now, which I'm gonna have to do that separately. So I might do an extra one just on a random night. Who knows? But that's where I'll be next Thursday, everybody. Maybe you guys will be there too. We're all gonna suffer through the Breen magic together. But they're so fun to watch, though. Like they're not good,
so
but
great.
they're so entertaining to watch. And if you can make the time, like I would be awesome if you were there because it's so much fun to talk to somebody about it while you're watching it. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I'm just Mystery Science Theater 3000 it essentially. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Mad Max Fury Road next Thursday. Some Neil Breen action, and I'll be back Tuesday with a nightcap for sure this Tuesday. So look out for that, and we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.